And I remember a big chunk of my time while I was locked up, I was trying to like process that and come to terms with that, but also like I had to become worse than what I was to survive where I was at, you know?
Connect with us on the Emotion Wellness Podcast for a transformative journey of human connection. Witness personal stories, improve your mental health education, and acquire valuable resources for optimizing your well-being. And visit emotionwellness.com for more information.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Emotion Wellness Podcast. And I'm here today with, obviously, my brother, Jason Turner.
What's
and
up, Frank?
another one of my other fucking brothers, excuse my language, Joe Roller's in the house. Give it up for Joe Roller.
Hey.
Joe Roller is in the house. I was excited all week for this. No BS, my dude. I love you.
Love you too,
I
dude.
love you. You already know that. Like, this is love right here for me.
Yeah.
You are the two guys that are in my inner circle. And I'm so excited to have you on the podcast, bro.
Dude, I'm excited.
Fucking
I'm excited. I
pumped
appreciate
up.
y'all having me, man.
Yeah.
We talked about this for a while.
I know.
Yeah. My Fridays finally cleared up and you were like, oh, so we can do the podcast. I was like, yep.
Let's do it.
Yep.
Let's
Yep,
go.
we can do it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So Joe Roller, we know you, like the recovery community knows you, the treatment industry knows you here in Texas, but some viewers might not know you, dude. So give us a little bit about who's Joe Roller, where does he come from, a little
Okay.
background on Joe Roller, man.
Like life story shit? Like
Life
going all the way?
story. Let's go, dog. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I got no home training. So like, what's the rules on cursing?
There is it. We do what we want here.
Yeah, I just cursed. I try
so-
not to. I'm
yeah,
like
what I-
limiting it, but
Well, I know sometimes if you curse too much, like it'll throttle your traffic.
oh no, don't worry.
Yeah, we
I
can
don't wanna mess
we can
with
take
y'all's-
care of whatever we need to in post production or whatever. So
All
don't
right,
worry about that. Knowing because you and I are similar in a lot of ways. We had the same job in the military, different branches.
I mean, K9 leads the way, right?
Yeah. So it's what's interesting to me is the personality types that end up in various industries, right? So like the way that people are wired, how they get to whether it's real estate or business and so it's interesting that there's two previous canine handlers who joined the military, different areas, different times, didn't know each other, both end up in recovery, both end up pursuing mental health, and I think we're similar in our approaches as well as far as like wanting to be different or seeing a lot of the nonsense that goes on in other places. And I also feel like, is this accurate too, that you were fixing other people's shit for a while and then
There was a little bit of that. Created a few things in the background. Just wrote their curriculum, helped them like identify staff that like would work well with that curriculum, things like that. But then there was two opportunities to like fix some shit that like put me on another level. But I think,
So how did you find this? Was it your recovery? Like what?
well, I'm not in recovery.
Oh, you're not? I thought
I'm
you
not in
were. I'm
recovery.
sorry.
No, I'm in recovery from violence. Like,
Yeah,
that was my vice.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
So how did you go from canine to mental health?
childhood shit.
Okay.
Honestly.
So you are in recovery then?
Yeah, in forms.
Not from addiction,
Not from
but
addiction.
yeah.
Forms, which is funny. Like I've talked to people about that, and I struggled with that working in treatment because like I'd look at people, and it was like, man, by like the way you're presenting, that was me at 25. So if I'd have got in front of the right person, so to speak, like I'd have been in recovery. I'd have been AA. I'd have been all these things, and but I don't have that problem, right? So like I struggled with that in the industry, like telling somebody you're an addict and you're gonna deal with this for the rest of your life, when it was like, dude, your 20s look like my 20s, and now like I can have a drink or not. I don't give a shit. Like there's no appeal to me for drugs, like none of that. It's just, and some of that's childhood stuff. Like drugs have just never been an option for me. You know, I saw the damage it did to my family, and it was just like, it's not an option.
Well, you know what's crazy? This is honest to God truth. So I'll put everything. I've done it all, and alcohol and pills are what got me. But I tried cocaine and was like, that shit's way too good. I can never do it again.
Right.
It was a one-time deal.
Yeah.
And the normal perspective on like addiction is if you have that response to it, you're just going to go down a rabbit hole
With everything.
And I didn't, because I was using, I had alcohol and pills. So it's an interesting, that's where to me, that's what interests me is the complexity.
Yeah.
It's like a problem that almost can never be solved. Like we're constantly trying to tweak it. I would look at cases that I was working or people that I was helping, and it would be like, okay, I'd go home at night and be like, they have, this, and this going on, and I'll come back and try this. That doesn't work. Let's go.
Right.
So it seemed like it was a never ending puzzle piece. And I feel like, I don't know if this is true for you, but for me, it's very similar to training animals. Like 100%. when I was, doing the dog training thing, trying to get the dog to execute whatever task it was. If it was a follow or, releasing the bite was, pretty basic stuff as far as like what we were doing. But like any of those type of problems, there was multiple approaches.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing that stood out to me, and that comes out in a lot of my therapy. I've even had clients say yo, you constantly look me up and down, and sometimes that makes me uncomfortable. So I read body language, right? And I never really, I connected it finally, but for a while I didn't understand why, right? But then it goes back to the canine thing. They call it J&D, just noticeable difference, right? Because sometimes you're working a dog and it can be the slightest change in them. And you're like, oh shit, my dog's on odor, right? Which means they're about to find a bomb, drug, whatever. And you got to really be attuned to that because you miss some shit. And if you miss some shit, people die.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so just really good at reading language, right? Which is why I'm not a fan of virtual therapy. Because if I can only see this, you can put on a show with this. But if I can't see what your hands are doing, your feet, or how you fidgeting, I need to know that. Because sometimes it's just a slight change and it doesn't feel like a lot. And you're like, we just tapped something. Let's keep going,
Yeah, that attending to the patient.
Yeah.
I'm so convinced that it's not an effective way to do therapy that to me, it's a money grab. It's easy. I won't do it. We will not do it in our center just because it's not effective. I'd much rather wait, put a program in an area where people need it. You know what I mean? So I don't know how, do you guys do any of it or?
What do you mean?
Like virtual?
No.
Yeah.
No, I think if there's for programming, absolutely not. For an individual session, if it's
that's a little different.
But the standard is in person. But if there's a scheduling conflict, the person can get out of work,
we have the same approach.
We'll do that,
But you're not marketing your program as you have this virtual IOP.
No, no. The only one is constantly virtual is just our provider.
Yeah.
I got a really, really, really dope provider, and as an IOP, I can't afford to pay him
absolutely,
right?
Yeah.
But there's a middle ground there where we can do the work together, and we have a psychiatrist that's local and everything like that. We can tap people if they need in person, But my provider is sick, and he does all virtual. And he's really efficient, really fast. Providers are no different than therapists. We don't bat 100%. It's just not the way it is. But he's really good.
Well, I think that
95% of the time, he
I think
nails
a medical
it on the first
appointment's
go.
a little different than trying to do therapy with somebody when you're not in the room with them.
Right. It's very different. But you was talking about the mentality of work things and things like that. I'm curious what your experience was in the canine world. What mentality did you see the most? Because I know what I did, what I saw. I'm curious what you saw.
I was the problem. You know what I mean? I had a really great experience. I had an amazing kennel master. I had a trainer who saw my design. I was very good at it, but only because and I see this pattern in my life when I have trouble with attention. So this whole ADHD thing, right? People are like, oh, you can't focus. No, I can focus.
Right.
I just won't focus on anything that doesn't grab my interest.
Right.
When I'm interested, I'm all in. And it's extreme. And so I was so interested in the canine realm and the possibilities. And so I was all in. And I had a trainer who pushed that on me and allowed me to kind of, I had free reign to do a lot of stuff. I was one of the first teams that we trained our dogs on ecstasy back in the day in Arizona, and I had a really good experience. So the mentality that I saw was people were willing to support my efforts. My mentality was I was this arrogant, pompous little punk who had this alcoholic problem and an insecurity complex and couldn't really get vulnerable, and couldn't just really had no vulnerability, and was somebody who'd like to get his way, and when I didn't, I would have a tantrum. You know what I mean? So I left the military feeling like a disgrace. It took a long time for me I had a ex-Navy SEAL work at the treatment center that I was working at in Arizona as a boarding school.
Right.
And I remember he didn't really like me very much when we first met. He was a therapist, really solid human being. And I remember at the end of our time together, we were at a dinner and an awards banquet. And I remember him saying he had respect for me. And it was a turning point for me in how I saw myself. And then I ended up getting the Tillman Scholar, military scholar, and I show up in a room full of amazing high quality human beings, all of which are operators, lawyers, like we're talking next level human beings. There's a guy out, if you've seen the Navy SEAL Dr. Astronaut, his name's Johnny Kim. Have you seen this?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Google his name. He's a Tillman scholar. So like, I'm in a room with these type of people, and I went to ASU for social work as a recovering alcoholic who should have got a dishonorable discharge and was fortunate enough to not. You know what I mean? So I left there with a ton of disgrace, and it's taken the last 20 years to come back from that. So my mentality was, I know you didn't ask that question, but mine was this arrogant, flying around with Secret Service thinking I'm something. I really
them taskings really stroke that ego.
I had a lot of great. I did have some good experiences with leadership. I did see a lot of, and like I'm sure you did too, in any big organization. I saw a lot of things that were changed, and the troops were not taken care of, and there was a perception like, it's all about the mission, and we're not really considering our mental health, and we're not really taking care of at the highest level. I felt like we were getting, but on the in the Air Force we call them flights. At the flight level, we were pretty tight. But we were like the outsiders. I don't know how it was in the Navy, but like we weren't well liked by security police or.
No. But everybody wanted to be us, but hated us. It was wild. My experience was a very alpha driven.
Yeah, that's
thing,
true.
And because of my background with like the rough childhood and everything like that, like I took to that like a fish to water. But then, like you said, like the arrogance and everything like that, I took it too far. Right. And one of the things with me, like if I get into something, like I want to be really good at it. Right. And so like I really dug into the art of like training a dog and getting them past like just the basic like post cert level and everything like that. And I did really good at it, and nobody wanted to like follow me, And I remember we had these, I don't know if y'all had in Air Force, we had these annual inspections. It's called like STAT.
Yeah.
I was going through my second STAT, and the dude said, man, he goes, what is it like knowing that you're like the best handler here, right? Probably in the region. I'm like 2 years in, He's like, and nobody wants to learn from you. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you haven't noticed that? Like you come here and do some amazing shit with this dog. And nobody on your team or in the region that's watching this is like, Joe, how'd you get that done? Like you were so unapproachable and like so like condescending with how you tell people how to train dogs. Nobody wants to learn from you.
Yeah, that's wild, right?
So it's like, what's the point of being the best if nobody wants to learn from you? And I was like, shit, I never thought of it like that, like, because that first kennel I was at, it was super alpha mentality. Like if you're the best, then that's all that matters, And it took a minute, but like I adjust that, and then got to where like people did want to learn, And that was a huge experience for me, Like, and it was crazy to me. I went through like so many like good leaders in the Navy, but I only had like 2 of them actually like invest in me, And like tackling that to like childhood shit, like it kind of keeps this like perpetual thing in your mind of like, what's wrong with me, right? Like if I'm at this duty station, they have this great leader, and I'm like this problem child. Like there's no like guidance, there's no support. It was just consequences and threats. And for right, wrong, or indifferent, like I don't respond well to threats. Like if you hit me with the or else, I'm like, let's go there. Let's see what the or else is. Like I want to go ahead and let's experience that. Like I'm right there. Like please, I just don't respond well to threats. I never have, and that was like the whole behavior mod that I experienced in the Navy. Was like, we're just gonna like make you be better by threatening, and versus like, let me take you under my wing, let me help you, blah blah blah. And it's like, it's not our job to raise you, right? And I did a lot of growing up in the military, but like it is their job to mentor you, right? And part of being a good sailor, part of being a good military member, part of being a good K9 handler is like having like a mentorship. And I had to figure that out on my own. Other than like a couple like insights and like awareness from people, like I had to figure it out completely for myself. And dude, I was bitter about that when I left for a while, and with all the stuff from that, like I should have left on a dishonorable discharge. I think in my 10.5 years, I think I fought like probably 9 Article 15s and never made it to the CO. Always weaseled my way out. Like I would grab the like laws, the manual for court martials, right, the MCM, and I would find a way out. Like, yo, this is why we can't do this. And there was a couple of times I had to like really up the ante and like leverage court martial, because over there like evidence matters. At Article 15, it's how they feel, and it was crazy. I remember I had this one person, there was another one that like stood out to me. It was like, he goes, I don't think that people are like inherently bad. He goes, I just think we don't have them in the right places. And he said, and while you're a very talented canine handler, he goes, the fact that nobody has thought about you doing investigations blows my mind. He's like, because you have weaseled your way out of 2 or 3 cases in every duty station. He's like, your ability to like break down that and see through this shit and do that. He's like, I'm just wondering what that would be like on the other side. You know, like how could you like ensure people don't weasel their way out? And I was like, dude, this is about to happen, blah, blah. And then like the community, so to speak, like fought him so hard on like him trying to put me in a different realm that I was like, here we are again. Like nobody's gonna show up, nobody's gonna help you, nobody's got your back, you know. And that was just like a life lesson I had to keep learning. And I think it's like unresolved trauma, man. I think we go through shit until we figure out how to work through it, right? And it's not the fact that like you got to get to a place, for me, right? It wasn't a fact for like I got to get a place where I'm 100% like independent, almost anti-dependent, right? But it was also the idea that like you have to recognize that like personal responsibility is a real thing, right? And nobody's going to show up to save you, right? But when you can pull things together, people want to support. Nobody wants to save you. They do want to support you, you know, but if the expectation is you're going to be saved, so to speak, that's just really not going to happen.
Well, and I think before you get to that point, my naive brain was there was dominance or dependence. It was like those are the 2 realms that I'm in relationship with people. I'm either going to try to dominate the scenario or I'm going to be over dependent and want you to do stuff for me that I'm supposed to do for myself, you know. And I resonate a lot with what you just said. I was under investigation for a couple of years for some pretty significant stuff. And it was stuff that was way above my head. And I shouldn't have been in those scenarios, but the alcohol and the lifestyle brought me there. Yeah. And when I was on the way back, I also feel like, so I'm sitting here listening to you and I'm like, yeah, I wasn't that smart. Like I wasn't digging in the manual. I was like, I'm just fucked, you know what I mean? And God's grace just showed up over and over. Yeah. It was like God just kept saying to me, like, dude, I need you to just live long enough because I got this thing. Like, you know,
there's a plan.
And I can see it now, like obviously with emotion, but even before that, getting my own recovery. But when I was first getting sober, I was, this is how God worked in my life. He put me in charge of they put me in charge of a dormitory. They're like, there's no way you're at the kennels. There's no way you're going to be around weapons. There's no way any of that. And I had a guy who was a canine handler. And I fucking hated him. And he's an amazing human being. You know why I hated him? Because he was a fucking physical specimen. He had he had set all kinds of records. He like did the ruck march and, you know, he went to these schools. So he's tapping into my insecurity. His name was Guy Dashley. He's a fucking amazing human being. He was one of the few who, when it was all said and done, was still trying to support me. Yeah. And I was the one who judging him, you know what I mean? It was like, he taught me so much just by how he was. But they put me in charge of a dormitory for the troubled airmen. Right. Well, that's like being a house manager. Yeah. It's like being a doorman. I didn't know that. I don't know anything about the recovery world. Right. But I know that I got these kids who are in trouble. And though I had figured a way around a few things, and the biggest talent that I had at that point was sharing with people, if you self-ID, they got to work with you. Yeah. They can't really punish you because now you're saying I'm sick. So I was like, don't fight it. Self-ID and then work the system. And so kids, you know, young airmen would be like, yo. And I was a bit of a legend at that point. I was a very good trainer as well, but I wasn't known. That wasn't what made me a legend. Right. What made me a legend was that I was supposed to go to Leavenworth and I didn't do any time and I got an honorable discharge. So people were like, how did you do it? And I'm like, yeah, I really don't know. I just, So I get that part. Yeah, I was a little bit of a legend, and like all these leaders in the canine community was like, I'm gonna be the one to take him down. And they all lost. You know, they all lost. And there was a couple of times I was like, fuck, I think they finally got me, you know, but it just worked out, man. And the thing is like all that played a role in like how I'm good at therapy or trauma work or whatever. But the thing is like, that was always my plan, right? I didn't fully understand why. I had an interaction with somebody and I was like, I knew I needed to do the military. I needed an escape. Like I didn't have money, funds, no skills to like get me out of my hometown. I knew that if I stayed here, I'm gonna be dead or in prison. Where are you from?
Lake Charles, Louisiana. Okay. And like we didn't have anything, man. Lake Charles, especially back then, dude, was like arguably 75% just like hood, you know? So it was really just all like, getting into mischief, doing stupid shit, you know, kind of gang activity stuff, you know, all kinds of silliness. And what that led to was like me getting sentenced to juvenile life at like 15 years old. In Louisiana, that's 21. And I had no idea, right? And I remember when they told me that, I remember I like collapsed in the chair and I was like, it was, I didn't realize it in a moment. I realized it later, but it was like such a moment of like who you are at your core. Cause like, I didn't blame my mom for not being there. I didn't blame my dad for not being there. None of that. I was literally, when I sat there, I was like, what have I done? You know, cause I made a choice, right, wrong, or different. Like my choice, cause like I'm fairly intelligent. Why didn't, you know, and this was my escape, right? Why didn't you dig into the books? I was fairly athletic, right? Why not go into sports, you know? I went to the streets. Like, why is that? You know, like I did this, I made that choice. And I remember a big chunk of my time while I was locked up, I was trying to like process that and come to terms with that, but also like I had to become worse than what I was to survive where I was at, you know? And I ended up only doing about 18 months, but like 13 months of that, I was in like gladiator camp, you know? And like the ripple effect that had to where like my mindset of like violence is the answer to everything, you know, dude, it took me 12, 13 years to work through that shit. It was crazy.
Well, you think about it from a system standpoint and survival, we're seeking safety. So that's what provided the safety.
Yeah.
Is getting good at that.
And it was the answer, you know, and that resonates me with like trauma work. You know, it's like, why do we do this? Because it works, you know, but it worked here.
Right.
You know, it doesn't work here. Like if I survived combat, right? And there was a way I functioned in combat that played a role in that.
Correct.
I survived, right? So logically, I should use that at work, at home, at the grocery store, because then I'm gonna survive. Well, it's worked, right? So you can't tell me I shouldn't use it, but it's like, yeah, but it worked here.
Yep.
Correct.
And that's the thing, is like we get stuck and we find like a solution, so to speak, and it's like, this is the answer all the time. And it's not. It was the answer there, right? Whether it was right or wrong, it helped you survive here, but it doesn't mean it applies to all this other shit in life. And that's, from my perspective on like working through trauma, is part of the goals is like getting people past that to where like the belief system is, I have to function like this to be okay. Because if I function like this, my trauma would have never happened, and or I function like this after my trauma to be safe.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't I keep doing that shit? You know? And that's like a long way to explain like pretty much the idea of like being institutionalized, right? Like somebody does so long in prison or even the military, like there's like an institutionalization there to where like, this is just how I function. And I'm in a whole nother environment that is not applicable, but my brain won't process that because it says this is the way to be okay.
And you're still stuck in a loop too.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Interesting.
But the dude that like inspired me to be a counselor, I didn't know it at the time, he was my parole officer.
Oh, wow.
And so they actually had to interview me to go to this gladiator camp, which hindsight is like nuts. I wish I wouldn't have passed the interview. But so I sat with this dude. We did all these assessments and everything like that.
When is this?
This was like 96. I was like 15. And so we sat in this room, had it been like a few hours, and I don't know what I said. I probably said something snarky or whatever. And I remember he just shut the binder, leaned back, crossed his legs, and like just stared at me for a minute. And I'm like, what? You know, what the fuck are we doing? Like, what's going on? And he was like, man, he said, this ain't you. He's like, this ain't you. He said, you had to become this person to survive this, to make it through that, this, that, and other. He said, but it's not who you are at your core. He said, and then someday you're going to have to face the fact that like, nobody's gonna give a shit about your mommy and daddy issues. You got the man to fuck up. And just got up and walked out. And I was like, what the fuck? You know, that was like the first person I ever saw through all my bullshit and was like, you're just angry because of like your mom and your dad. And this is the way you've learned how to cope.
Yeah.
And now you're in this situation, but like there's gonna come a day, which like adulthood, when it's on you, and nobody's gonna care about your mommy and daddy issues, you know? And that's true. Nobody gives a shit, you know? And I don't mean that like in a super facetious way or like bad way, but like everybody has their own shit. So I can't be sitting here constantly worried about Jason's mommy and daddy issues or Frank's or like mine. Like I gotta heal my shit with my process, right? So I can be a better person in society, in my team, this, that, and other, right? Because it goes back to like, nobody's gonna save you, which means to me, like nobody can do that for you. Like, we gotta heal ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Speaking my language, man.
Yeah, dude. And it was just wild. What's crazy is like we had an assignment in grad school where it was like, do this timeline of like how your life led you here. And I couldn't do it in that order. I had to go backwards, right? And it was crazy. I was going through it as like, even like dumb decisions that led me here. It's like, if I wouldn't have made this dumb decision, I wouldn't be here. If I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have been here, right? And then you kind of come to like terms with the idea of like all this like terrible shit I went through. If I didn't, I wouldn't be here, right? It's crazy to think about. Had I not took to the streets like I did, had that meeting with that future parole officer, the idea of being a counselor never would have came into my mind. I just knew that like I wanted to be him. Right, he saw through my bullshit. It made me want to be a different person. I couldn't at that moment because I had to survive the circumstances. But and so when I got out and I was on parole, I asked him about that, and he said, "There's two ways to be a parole officer. You have a criminal justice degree or a social sciences degree." He said, "I wanted to be a therapist, so I went the social sciences route, but I really enjoyed this, so I stopped pursuing a license, and just now I'm just a parole officer." And he's like, "So like I just see things different." Because like my training is in psychology versus criminal justice. And I was like, interesting. And I just walked away from that thing. I was like, I want to be here one day, you know?
But you went to military after that.
I went to military after that. And he actually helped me get off parole early too, which was a crazy story. So I told him what was going on. It was like, and he could have locked me up for the stuff I told him. I was like, look, dude, I can't leave the life. Like, I don't know what it is, you know? I've tried all these things, it's not working. I even thought having a kid and that would take me out the streets because, like, if we had a baby, like, I'd really want to be out of the streets. Like, it wasn't an answer. And so I'm just telling him all this, and he was like, he said, let's go to courts and see if they'll let you off early. So they made an example of me too, and a few of my friends, because like there was really no like gangs in our town. It was just neighborhood shit. So like, dude, I got juvenile life for like stuff that people were getting like 5 months for, you know, and it's very obvious they made an example of us. And so I was supposed to see a different judge. And at the last moment, they switched the judge to the judge that sentenced me.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I'm screwed. I'm so screwed. But we went through with it. He was like, man, we can cancel it. We can reschedule. I was like, no, we're here. Might as well. You know, we were already literally in the courthouse. He come out and he was like, I got some bad news. There's a change in judges. I was like, let's just do it. So like we presented it to him and everything like that. And I remember he like sat back in his chair and just, you know, was rocking. He'd look at me, was looking at my file. And he was like, I'll approve it. You know, he said a lot more, but I'll approve it. You know, he's like, but he goes, here's the thing. I'm not going to like completely erase your record. He said, I'm just going to set it aside. He said, if they do a deep enough background check, they'll be able to find this. But if you can come see me after you complete 2 years in the military, he goes, I will completely like expunge, erase whatever your juvenile record. And I was like, okay, but here's the thing. Once you turn 18, this turns into an adult record. So when you come see me in 2 years, you'll be over 18. And if I reinstate this, now you have adult felonies because you'll still be on parole. We're going to retroactive all this shit, and then I'm going to violate you. It's like, great, you know. So, but he gave me a chance, and I did. I went back 2 years later. I was like, yo, I'm still in, blah, blah, blah. And it was crazy because I did really good those first 2 years. And then once I had that not over my head anymore, all my bullshit started coming out. I didn't get no trouble that first 2 years, but that next 8, I made up for it, you know. And it's like, and it's funny to me because like, there's a level of like what we talk about in this industry, like consequences aren't enough, right? And that's true. They'll hold you tight for a little while, but it's not enough to like actually change, you know, like the idea of going to Article 15 all the time, the idea of being kicked out the military and knowing I still have an 8th grade education, like none of that mattered. Like I still did the shit I did because this was how I coped and to be okay, right? And like when I work with people, especially like not being an addict, you know, people are like, oh, normies can't help addicts, blah, blah, blah. You could never understand. It's like, yeah, I mean, I can never understand it from that perspective, but I can understand that I have a way of being okay that no matter what the world is telling me and no matter what the consequences, I'm gonna do it anyway. And I know what it's like to like push through that and change that outlet. Mine was fighting. Yours is heroin, right? But it's still, no matter the pressures, the consequences, we're still gonna do this no matter what. So how do we tap into that to where it's like, this is no longer an option, right? Because that's where I had to get with mine. Like the idea of using violence as an answer, like it could no longer be an option. Because it just kept setting me back in life, you know? And last time I got in a fight and arrested was literally the night I celebrated graduating my bachelor's. And I remember sitting in that jail cell and thinking, I'm already accepted to grad school. I'm like 2 years out of the military. I did a 4-year degree in 2 years. and I'm sitting in jail for fighting, and I'm 32 years old. Like, what is wrong with you? You know? And I'd already realized around like 27, I needed to make some adjustments. I figured out the common denominator in all my problems was me. You know, I had a very epic pity party. You know, it's like all these things.
Man, that victim mentality.
Bro, it was amazing. Yeah. It was amazing. But it was a good realization. It was like,
you're still fighting in jail. I get it. It's
and
like, what are we doing?
And I can resonate that, like, what happened with my mom or my dad is not my fault. But like how we talk about in recovery with like the 4-step process, right? It's not necessarily that your trauma or this thing was your fault, but the way you acted because of it.
Yeah,
that's where
the cards on the table are not because of you, but
the way that's where the ownership
them,
is, you know? And it's like, so yeah, I know it's not my fault, but like I functioned a certain way that caused all these issues, and that's my responsibility to clean up.
Absolutely.
Right? And as I started doing that, things started working. Things started falling in place, right? Whereas like, that's why I get down with energy and the idea of like karma and stuff like that. Cause like the energy you put out is the energy you get back.
Correct.
So as long as I was living this like shitty lifestyle, things just wouldn't work out for me. And as soon as I started shifting that, things started working out for me. You know, like I shouldn't have got accepted into the undergrad program. And I did well enough with, you know, I say my 8th grade education. Now I have a master's degree, but like at that point I had 8th grade education. And I did enough to where like I made a GPA to where I could get into grad school, but not by a lot, just a little bit. Like there was a plan, there were some things, and like I didn't even have to interview for my grad school, which was crazy. Like other people did, and I didn't even know there was like an acceptance rate, you know, like for that whole like peer group or whatever. I think they only accepted like 150 out of so many, and I was like, what? And I made that cut without any of that, and also like what's that test we used to have to take? Is it the GAD? What is that test?
GRE?
GRE. I avoided that thing so bad. And so I applied to a school where it was optional. And like, even with that, I found out that I was only one of like 4 people in the program that didn't take the GRE. And it was like, how am I here? You know? And this is in the wake of like, that day I'm sitting in jail, like, what the hell, right? And it's like, this is the final one. Like, we got to turn the curve. You know, we got to make this, we got to change. Like, we're going to run out of like grace, you know? Because there was a lot of grace and like keep getting opportunities, or like even with the military stuff, keep weaseling out. That can only go so long. Eventually, like the jig is up. You got to suffer the consequences, right? And it was like my consequences up to that point was just life. Like life would not shake for me. Like relationships were horrible. Everything sucked. But once I like changed my energy, things around that shifted, you know? And that's just how I ended up doing therapy. Like it was crazy, you know? Combination of all that. The other side of that is I had the one thing I said the whole way through grad school that I would not work with is the very thing I ended up working with. I was like, I'm never working with addiction. And professors be like, man, be careful with that. And I was like, nah, I can't. Like, I got too much of it in my family. I don't want to see that, blah, blah, blah. And I graduated 2015. I applied to so much shit. I couldn't get a door to open in the mental health field for nothing. It wasn't until January 2017 I started working in the industry, you know, and I finally was like, I'm just gonna take a job. You know, because like every time I would try, like doors wouldn't open, but substance use was always.
Is that when I met you?
Yeah, at Infinite. So Kendall,
you had hair, remember?
Yeah.
Yo, you had the hair.
Yeah. Let's not do that.
Yeah, you had.
I had a man bun. I had a man
Rollback,
bun,
son.
bro. I had a man bun for a minute.
Rollback,
Shit was it was wild. It was weird. It's like I had
remember
long hair.
2017.
But I would never like
almost
wear
10
it
years.
down. So like eventually at some point I was like, what's the point of having long hair? Because like I'd lay it down. I was like, I'm not comfortable like that. You know. So I ended up shaving it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Kendall called me and was like, hey man, like your practicum was an IOP, like you did pretty good, blah, blah, you know. They're hiring for an IOP counselor, why don't you give it a shot? I was like, well, what is it? And he's like, what's substance use? I was like, nope, I don't even want to talk about it. And like a few hours later, after getting over my own bullshit, I called him. I was like, man, I'll send you my resume. Like, let's see what's up. And because in my mind, it was like, well, I just need to get a job. I need to get experience going. And now to have some more on my resume, I'll start applying and looking around.
You were really good, my dude.
And it just, I was where I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, and honestly, like I experienced
You
all
helped
that.
a lot of people.
I had my mom sit in front of me. I had my dad, my uncle, like everybody. Like I've crossed all those bridges, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, you know? And I was effective at it. So it was like really dope. And then during that time as well, trauma work kind of fell in my lap, right? Because remember, like all of our trauma was based on EMDR, and then we had that exodus of all those therapists. And so we're sitting here with this community of people that are like in trauma, towards the end of trauma, was supposed to start trauma, and none of the therapists left did EMDR, and we're all like, well, what do we do? And coincidentally, man, like I went to this conference and I got schooled on that cognitive processing therapy, which I didn't put two and two together. It was the one I tried to go through to the VA, which is there's like such, there's just so much behind like how something is presented, because I hated it when I went through it with the VA. I tried 3 times, and all 3 times I dropped out, right? Whereas this lady, the way she explained CPT in like that 45-minute talk was like, yo, this is like gold. And so I asked her, I was like, yo, can this be changed, this, that, and other? Because like she was using it for like sexual trauma. And I was like, well, I need to use it for like various traumas. And she's like, oh, you can mold it to whatever you want, blah, blah. If you think about it, like that's how psychology works. Everything is built on top of something or in spite of something.
Yeah.
She's like, so make it your own. And so I got with the clinical director at the time. I was like, man, I'm thinking about doing this. I don't even know what that looks like to like write curriculum, blah, blah. And he gave me a few pointers. It took me like a month. I put this thing together and we rolled it out. And we had like great results. And it was like, okay, like shit has changed. Like now I work in addiction and I'm a trauma therapist, the 2 things I never wanted to deal with. And I'm pretty good at it. You know, I was like, let's go. But writing that first curriculum, so to speak, like just it ignited something in me that was like crazy. You know, like I didn't know. And I guess like with dog training and stuff like that, it is creative, but like I didn't know I had like that type of creativity. And it was like, it was really dope, you know?
Well, I think about it in terms of problem solving.
Yeah.
So you had a problem.
You solved it.
You went into solve mode and you found a solution.
Yeah.
And for that mindset, that's exciting. So you had, what I'm hearing from your story is you had these childhood problems. You found a way to solve them. You had legal trouble in the Navy, found a way to solve them. So you're wired to like go in and solve problems, and it with an active mind and one that is wired for intensity. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah. You know, at least in my mind. So.
Yeah.
That's dope. Like I look at it as survival, but the way you're saying, like, that makes sense, you know? Like this is how I had to like get through, you know?
The transferability of skills is incredible. I mean, the biggest example in our world is like you take the kid on the street who's like a successful dealer and it's like, you're not a criminal, dude. You have a business mind. We just have to focus that
in a different lane.
This other area versus try to take it away from people, right? Like you take a kid who's dealing on the streets and try to get him to be sober and get a Monday through Friday job. Like that's never going to work. It's like, it's understanding people's interests and what they focus on and where their attention is. Because I always do this, man. I tell people this. So I'm a huge fan of CPT. I did my clinical trial or my clinical internship at the VA. I did, and I went social work undergrad, social work grad. So I had to do them in undergrad and in grad school. Okay. So I did a lot of internships. One was at the legal school at U of A, and the other one was my longest one was at the VA. And I got introduced to trauma work from my supervisor, and she was phenomenal. But she was working in the readjustment clinic. Okay. So guys would come in from a deployment and only get very short amount of time with her. Right. And then I would be like, I would see her do this magic work in like a very short amount of time. And I'm like, God, that's amazing. Yeah, so I got really interested in that. But CPT was something that really intrigued me. And now with what we do, we do a lot of what's called story work. And when I saw this presented, I was like, oh, this is CBT like with breath. So the thing that I now know that I would say CPT lacks is the breath.
Yeah. Well, and in the way the VA did, in my experience with them, it was death by PowerPoint. You know, it was not interactive, and it was like, it felt like grad school. Like they put this PowerPoint up, and there was like a book on there to where you couldn't even hardly read half what was on there because it was so small.
So real quick. So what he just said about how the way it's presented. Yes. So we're talking about CPT. It's the same thing. Right. He saw it at one point and was like, fuck that, I don't want any part of it. Sees it again. So what's the best therapy in the world?
The one that they're going to do.
The one they're going to do. So whenever we talk to people, I'll ask that question. I'll be like, I don't give a shit what you got. What you got going on in your program, I don't really care. Because if you can't find a way to get people intrigued and engaged in it, it doesn't matter.
Don't matter. It doesn't matter. And I think that's why we need our own lanes. Like what y'all do is like dope, because like that's your passion, that's your background, that's your passion. Like fitness paired with getting well, being a more healthy and spiritual human being, right? So like that's going to bring a different energy to where like there's places that try to be everything. you know, and like I've noticed that early on in my career that like if
Or they don't even try, they just say they are.
they say they are, but that's my experience was like if you say you specialize in everything, that means you specialize in nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Because like how can you? That's an age-old saying: "Jack of all trades, master of none."
Not correct.
You know, like if I can work on everything, you know, like I noticed that when I'll be referring people for continuing care from like IOP and stuff, it was like you go to like Psychology Today and be like, I need to find a therapist that works with like addiction and trauma. And then like you see people's like stuff they work with and like the list is this long. And it's like, how do you specialize in like 17 different disorders?
Right.
You know? And so then it was like, because I felt some sort of way to like I was like cornered into trauma, but then I was like, but this is my lane, right? Thing is like I don't have the tolerance to work with some of the other stuff, and I just know that about me, right? And the thing is like they're like for depression, like super real, deep, dark, major depression, like that is not my skill set, right? But there are therapists that are amazing at that.
Mm-hmm.
So why am I going to try to power through with this client and use a skill set that's applied to something else and to here versus just being like, you need to go over here.
Well, and what you're talking about to me, and that might be from an individual therapist to an individual therapist thing, but also from program to program. It's like talk to people all the time about business in this, and what you're describing, right? Is I do all these things. What that is to me is it's sales and marketing, and it's a necessary evil, in my opinion, around having to rise above a whole bunch of other stuff out there to say, hey, look at me. And oftentimes what seems to happen, in my opinion, in my experience, is that people get really good at selling you stuff and not so good at transforming you when you're partaking in the stuff, right? So I've had to explain to investors and other people, and I try to get this message to friends of mine who, you know, previously we've had issues based on like it being competition. I'm like, you are both a competitor and an ally.
Yeah.
And I do much better when I focus on you as an ally. Like we're inundated. There's no shortage of patients. There's no shortage of patients.
Yeah.
So why are we not truly serving the patient that's best? And it's like, if I know that I excel with these type of people and I have one that doesn't fit that and it's not going to be that great, I don't have any problem with someone saying, hey, let's give it a shot.
Right.
We may end up finding something that works.
Yeah.
But when you've been at the same place 4 times and they're not referring you out and they're not saying, hey, let me find you somebody else that can work with you, that's a massive problem.
That's a problem because that's not the spot, you know? And I think like there's service in that, just identifying that you're not the fix for everybody, you know, and just being okay with that. Like, it's fine. Like, I can't fix everybody's trauma, and trauma is my shit, right? But there's a lot of people I can, and when you're outside of that scope, I know people that can help you. Right? Or if like you got, like I was saying with the depression, you know, and I think some of what we're talking about is like, the marketing, the business, you know, and the fit of it and everything like that. But that's another thing that like sparked like my trajectory, is because in 2017 when I came into the industry, you know, you start looking for inspiration, and what I noticed was outside of owning it, there was no therapist. I ain't gonna say no. There was very little therapists in the top 4 of any company.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I was like, why is that? You know, and nobody could. And I'm only asking therapists. You know, and they can't tell me.
Well, because they're having a hard time identifying and acknowledging that most therapists' brains are not wired for business.
Exactly. And that's what it was. There is no business mindset to it. And like, for me, like the business side just makes sense. Like, I like my paycheck, right? So there's things I got to do to get that paycheck. Whereas a lot of people don't see it like that. Like, you know, and I've heard people like, oh, it's the bleeding heart thing, is this, that, and other. But there's a lot of people that think money just like manifests, like it just comes on trees and things like that.
Yeah, there's that. How about this though? Have you ever coached somebody, work with somebody, when they start to put a dollar figure on their time for their hourly services, have a hard time with it? So for me, and it was my situation for a long time, is I have a lot of skill and a lot of ability, but I didn't have the mindset. So I also feel like when you look at the type of people who are brought to therapy, we don't have the same, we didn't get drawn to therapy for the same reason, but we did. So my alcoholism brought me to get into recovery, which then showed me I wanted to work with people. Your past, but I was also drawn to alcohol because of my past, right? So when you get underneath the layers, the motivation is the same. Troubled childhood, not feeling good enough, all this stuff, right? So the types of persons that are brought to this field suffer from particular types of mental illness or deficiencies, right? Yeah. And so what I see most is imposter syndrome. I see therapists who don't feel good enough about themselves, and it manifests in a lot of ways. Maybe it's the poor diet, or they're not moving, or and it's real safe. I know some really amazing therapists who could have phenomenal private practices, but they don't know how to put a dollar figure on themselves. And that's my goal, is to help them. Like if they come into my center and they start I want to help you progress to that level, because I know what it's like to be stuck working in places where you're not seen, you're not validated, you're not appreciated for what you bring to the table. And you and I have, I was a programmer. I put together the what I consider the most important piece, but it's not the one that brings in the money.
It's not.
So it's the fucking guy on the front, right? And Frank and I are super tight, but like his role, if he find the people, I could create the best program in town, but guess what? They're going to pick a guy who can bring in the people versus the one who can work with the people.
100%.
It's a really weird thing in the therapy business.
Well, yeah, because I mean, like, and the thing is, like, in a lot of places, like, treat therapists like this, but you become like a cog in the wheel, and it even feels that way, like it's sometimes explicit, but definitely like subtle, is like, you're here to affect billing, like shut up, because like if I could do this without you, I would. And I think a lot of that is demonstrated in the pay. Like there is so many places that literally, if they could pay a therapist less, they would, right? And it's like, there's people right now still trying to hire master level therapists for the same rate I got back in 2017, and it's like, everything's got more expensive. Like we've evolved, this, that, and the other. And it's like, that affects like, and not to say that like people that make less aren't good, but like it does affect the quality. Like, absolutely. In many ways in life, like you get what you pay for, right? But then we also got to look at the business side of it with like insurance, right? And you look at some other states, and if you network with other states, and you're like, yo, like what y'all's going like rate for like RTC? And they're like, oh, we're probably doing like 13, 15 a day. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
We're lucky if we get 500. What do you mean? And when it's like, but they fought for that. Like as a state and as a community, they like fought for that and was like, no, this is the rates we need to like sustain business. Whereas like in some ways, like we're in such like a dog eat dog world to where it's like we couldn't even collaborate enough to do that because everybody's competition. And sometimes people say I'm arrogant for saying this, but like I don't see anybody as competition. Even if you're doing the exact same thing I'm doing, I can give you my whole recipe. You're not going to cook it like I can. But you're going to cook it your own way, and it's probably going to be effective, right? But you're not going to do it like I do it, right? So in that, like I have my own, especially my own lane, so you're not necessarily competition. Like you were saying, like I'd rather it be allies, but like we're so guarded with information on like billing and insurance. And then I feel like also, man, like some of it is like, I'm just going to say it, it's like whack-ass virtue signaling. It's like, look at me, I made sure I make the least amount of money. And it's like, but now you got a team of 40 people that are making less than they could, right? Because once you get to that point, you got 40 people, 20-something people that you're responsible for their livelihood.
Yeah.
Why am I putting all of us in a situation to where I'm going to pay you the least amount as possible, right? Why would I do that? And how do I plan to sustain a business, for longevity on somebody that's like just barely scraping by? Because people are going to do that. Like they'll pay their dues and this, that, and other. Like I'm new, I don't know much, I shouldn't be paid too well. That doesn't last too long. And especially in treatment, because like therapists and anybody who works in treatment, like it's the momentum is so crazy. The learning curve is like nuts, right? Because I saw that with me working in treatment versus like friends from grad school doing just straight up private practice.
Or just working with addicts.
Oh yeah, just addicts. Oh my God, right? But dude, like where I was getting at with my skill set and my understanding of like therapy in like a year to 2 years compared to people.
Well, reps and cents, dude. You got private practice, you're getting what, 1/10 of the volume?
Right.
And what's being presented.
Yeah.
You take a population of an IOP and you take 30 people out of that IOP and you're going to see a whole bunch of variations of issues versus like a private practice where it's going to be just a few, you know what I mean?
So I mean, I think it's a great place to learn, but I think we could have way more consistency and longevity on that side if we could just pay people better, and part of that is like, we're a lot of centers are at the mercy of like these payers, these insurance companies.
Well,
and we don't do nothing about it.
Nobody agrees with you more than me on that. And I would say this is something that I get frustrated with on a regular basis. So not only are we not coming together, right? We're cutting each other's feet out from under them with by doing things like not charging for sober living and doing the things that we're not supposed to do, right? Which is like, oh, I'm just going to waive the co-insurance fee and I'm not going to press you for this. And I'm going to, because people, there's fear. I get it. Now that I have my own program and I'm not fucking with your money.
Right.
You know, it's real easy when I'm working with somebody else's shit.
100%.
Like, but now that I'm the one going to bed at night with the issues and making sure that my people are getting paid and I'm taking care of them and I'm doing the bonuses and I'm building a business that's going to be around for a while, not to mention being financially solvent, but also being effective.
Yeah.
Right? And there's a balance there.
Oh yeah.
So it's like we get somebody in on the phones and they're like, well, the place down the street is not going to charge me for sober living. I'm like, okay, well, that's illegal. And number two, you get what you pay for. So we'll talk to you later. But if everyone just held a higher standard, the people coming in would have a different expectation. I'm blown away. And I came to this when I was early on. This idea that what we do is supposed to be free. Like, where the fuck did that come from?
Yeah.
Like, because you don't see a lot of like surgery centers in the nonprofit space that are being done, you know, like mental health is a societal issue that like we have government money set aside for and people can get services. Very few people can go get surgery for free, you know what I mean, without getting charged for it. So there's this thing around, I remember when I was starting my business, people were like, you're not a nonprofit? I'm like, no, I'm a for-profit. Like, why did you go that route? They somehow it's against my character. And I'm like, well, you want to know why I went that route? Because I'm going to be able to provide a better service.
100%.
Because I can do more things and I have more freedom and I'm not limited and I'm actually trying to help people, right?
Yeah.
How about the fact that the more money that we can make, the more influence that we have in a positive way for our society as well. Like the more wealth that we all generate, the more that we can give back.
Oh yeah.
The more that we can provide for others. And not even that, as you create wealth for everyone out there, you get to teach others how to create more wealth. And that's what abundance is in this journey. It creates more freedom for people, more options for people, you know? It gives you better choices at healthcare, better options at things. Like, why would we not want to go all in on that?
Right.
And the other thing is, I get it. Like, if I've been in the system for a while, you've experienced some bullshit as far as treatment centers go. So I wouldn't want to pay. I don't want to pay for bullshit.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like when people ask me about emotion, when they walk in, it's a completely different experience. And they say, why does it look this way? That's why. I want I don't even want to have to say anything. I just want you to walk in and go, oh, this place is different.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to establish the value. And I have no problem nowadays with asking people to pay. I have studied. I have grinded. I have a skill set. Just like you, and people think I used to be like, I don't know what people think, right? I think I do. I really don't. In my brain, I would have said it years ago, oh, that's arrogance or whatever. It's not. I'm super comfortable with who I am today. Yeah. And I'm phenomenal at what I do. Like, I'm just phenomenal. And I do a very good job. And there's a lot of time, effort, resources, training, and commitment that went into that. And there's a price on that.
Oh yeah.
And so I have no issues with that. And if you're someone out there who's listening and you're in the helping career field and you have a skill set and you're devoted and you're effective, like I would say, I would hope that you find a way to not have any issues with charging to get paid. Correct. I don't have that anymore. I used to. I think you're in the same boat. I just don't have that. I'm like, you're going to pay.
It's like a changing of the guard, right? Like there's a time to do that because like you don't have the skill set to say, oh, you should pay me $250 an hour. You should pay me this an hour, right? And so like you're getting that experience, and right. And for most people, I feel like it's usually around like 3 to 5 years in, depending on what they're doing and like the momentum. And then you get to that place, and it's like, okay, you have a skill set. You should be making more than what you were your first day. If you're 5 years in and you're still at 125, 120 a session, like what are we doing, right? And the thing is like accessibility, and I think that's where like the hat gets hung on like the virtue signaling I was saying earlier about it. But like, there's another wave coming, right? There are new green therapists that don't have the experience or anything like that to say I should get 200 an hour or whatever, right? So like you've paid those dues, so to speak. You have been that accessible person, but now your skill set says my value has changed. Roll with that change, right? There's people coming behind you that are going to be accessible because they have to build to that as well. And it just keeps doing a change of guards where like if everybody's not like really focused on that, it changes the energy and the conversation around that, right? Because I think whether it's like the social justice type deal or whatever, but like in our sector of the industry with like therapy, like money is like a very uncomfortable conversation, and it's crazy.
It used to be, yeah, not for me anymore.
Same.
And it's interesting too, because like, so this is way more prevalent. Like 2007, when you were coming on the scene, that was the age of the golden flow, we call it, and like UAs and all that. And I saw the worst of the worst, no bullshit. And I was fucking blown away, dude. It almost took my life over. Like I was so idealistic. I was just like, what the fuck is going on? But just like we said, all the decisions I made, the decision to leave Tucson in private pay and go work in managed care and not really know and go up north in Arizona to Prescott was like all of that set in motion, me creating the program of emotion. Like I didn't know it back then.
Right.
But those are the things that happened, right? So we had a guy come to us, I don't know, it was about 6 months ago. And in the first 30 seconds of talking to him, I never say who I am, and I'm at a stage now where like I'm involved with the organization, but we have a lot of people coming in, so like the new people have no idea who I am. So like, do you work here? That type of shit.
Right.
And this dude was like, just so you know, he's like, you work here? And I was like, yeah. He's like, just so you know, I got a golden ticket. And I was like, I know exactly what he's talking about, and I got people that work for me who have no idea what that means.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, tell me more about that. What's that golden ticket look like? And he's like, well, it's my insurance policy. And it da-da-da-da. And I said, oh, did you come from Florida? And he's like, yep. And I was like, were you in a program that was out of network? He's like, yep. I said, yeah, you ain't in Kansas no more, Toto. Like, you're not there. No. You are here. Yeah. Your ticket doesn't matter to me. Nope. So I went in network for a particular reason, and it has no bearing on whatsoever. You know what does have bearing though? How you show up. What you're willing to do for yourself. Because if you think you're going to come in here and sleep in group and fuck off and get high and do all the shit that those type of programs love for you to do because they keep getting paid and they get paid a lot. I said, that doesn't work here. And he was blown away. And he lasted like 2.5 days. And that's the tragedy.
Right.
This is a young person who has a mindset and a story about how he can behave in a system that never challenged him to actually be better.
Yeah.
They just took advantage of the money.
You don't even have to go to group.
No.
You don't even have to go to group. There's a lot of places like that.
And so like what we've created, and in programs like, and we're not the only ones, there's plenty of good programs out there. I don't want to sound like that. I used to be like that, but like there's plenty of good programs out. But the ones who are really trying to make a change, we end up having to fight that.
Yeah.
Like it's harder work. And the guy in front of me has no idea. I'm like, brother, you've been brainwashed.
Yeah.
They did you a huge disservice.
Yeah.
That learned helplessness, right?
Yeah. And that's a real thing. Like we've experienced that because we're at a network, right? And the thing is like there's a lot of people that like feel like because they have a certain policy and they were told that, right? Like, oh, you can do whatever you want. You can go wherever you want. And they show up to us and it's like, nah, bro, you're going to do what you're supposed to do. Like we're going to get well, right? And the thing is, the way I look at it, man, is like, it's like we have to negotiate our salary every day, right? And that's just it. And we're down for that fight. We're, cool, right? Because if you look at just BCBS for an example, like they profited like $140 million, just BCBS of Texas, right? And so when I agreed to this very low rate, the only person that's winning is the insurance company, right? I just made sure that CEO got his $15 million bonus that year, right? Whereas like we're gonna fight for every penny every day, right? And it's literally that you gotta fight every claim, and that's just the battle we're down for because we want to provide a better livelihood for our team, right? We want to provide a better facility. We're like anti-folding chairs, all that. Like, and I remember we used to be in RTCs and like we would do staffing for an hour and a half. And clinicians like, oh my God, and it's like, you make the client sit in that chair for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are we doing here? And like, there's like no connection to that, and it's like, so just the idea that I'm gonna have you sit in this chair for 3 hours, I want you to be comfortable, right? But the thing is like, you need to be uncomfortable. That's the only way you grow. That's different, right? Emotional, mental discomfort to like work through some shit versus physical discomfort because you bought the cheapest chair you could find. And that's because you're stuck in the system that says, I'm gonna pay you the least amount I can. And you can't do nothing about it, right? Because I'm BCBS of Texas. Everybody wants to be in network with us and we have 100 providers. Like you have no ground to stand on to negotiate with them. And it's super disappointing, right?
It's like Visa, the monopoly. Like it's the same shit.
It's the same shit. And it's like what blows my mind, I'm getting on like a little bit of a thing here, but this is a company, right? Or an industry rather that exists to help people get well. Right? They pay you an amount to make sure they get taken care of, this should almost be a pass-through. Why are you profiting so much, right? But then because I want to make a little bit more than the 180 a day you want to throw at me, I'm the unethical person. Okay. Tight. I'll be that.
Yeah, I get it, man. And
It's nuts.
As a team who, and I'm sure you're the same way, but we push. I've maxed out the boundary that you have to make a profit. You know, what I mean? Like I'm on the very fringes of that because of all the shit that we do.
It's rough.
Right? Like you've seen my center. Like we didn't skimp on the chairs. We didn't.
No.
You know, and it's about
so,
dignity. It's about walking into a place. I explain to people, look, when you do a biopsychosocial, one of the biggest things on there to figure out if you qualify or you are clinically diagnosed with a particular diagnosis is going to be the environment. Mm-hmm. Why is it not part of the wellness package?
Yeah.
So the environment has to look a certain way. The environment has to be a certain way. It needs to be clean. It needs to have colors. It needs to be engaging. And when people walk into our center, I'm sure it's like this with yours. It's got to look that produces a calm feeling.
Yeah.
Right? Like
settling. Those couches are crazy. Yeah. Crazy comfortable. They're crazy comfortable.
So I get what you're saying, man. And it's like I have this, you know, and I didn't know enough about, you know, I wasn't set up when I started in a way where billing wasn't my strong suit. So I was dependent on other programs. And even in my early stages as an in-network provider, it still didn't go very well because a lot of billing can be confusing on any side of it. So the out-of-network thing didn't seem to be the path for me to go. But what we've had to do is rely on volume. And like, that's what they're hoping for, right?
100%. And I honestly, like, I'm not opposed to that, right? But like with the team I want, like I do, like just our IOP alone, we got like 9 therapists, right? And all of our therapists are coming in off the rip making 10, 15 more than any other treatment center. I'm venturing to say any of them, but there might be one that matches that, right? And the thing is like, for me to provide that, I can't.
Yeah.
You know, I got to be able to negotiate for more constantly because I have this nice center. I have this huge team that is paid well, right? And the other thing of that, the business side that people don't always see until they do private practice, and they get sometimes a rough lesson in that is like, my paycheck isn't automatic, right? Like if things get short, because like insurance slows down, because sometimes their processing slows down, things like that, right? We have a billing issue, which 99% of the time isn't a billing issue, using the same code you've always used, and all of a sudden they're rejecting it, right?
You think? Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it?
Seems to happen around 90 days.
Yeah, and so all that's happening, and so the flow stops, but I still got to pay you. And nobody can, you know, that's another thing where like the business side of it isn't considered, right? But also like, that's like the weight we carry in our positions. Like they shouldn't have to worry about that, right? Yeah. But having some like buy-in, some incentive to say, I want to make sure we're going to be successful is a win, right? Because the reality of it is like when we don't make enough, that means I make less, right? And like there's been so many times as like the CEO or the owner and this, that, and other to where like I've had to like significantly reduce my income so I could take care of the team. And then what's funny is then you move on to other things, and all of a sudden these people that like you literally have taken food out of your family's mouth to put in theirs, they're talking shit about you. It's crazy to me. In this industry, the people that have like talked negatively about me the most is people I've helped the most. And it's like, what?
Well, I just saw something. I posted something recently, and I don't post a lot, but it was something that said, most people are not against you. They're just too insecure to root for you.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about that.
That's Hormozy's wife. She's got some dope.
I like that. Well, we were talking about that earlier, right? It's like, I think people want you to do well.
Just not too well.
Just not too well, right? I don't want you to feel like a threat. I don't want you to tap into my insecurities where I feel like I'm not doing enough, right?
Yeah, that's all that is.
I love, so Ryan Fisher is a guy who, he does a lot of physical programming. He's an amazing trainer. And he always says, be so disciplined that it makes other people uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Be so convicted and so passionate and so, you know, and what really worked for me, man, and I was somebody who I was so traumatized by what I saw, and it really took me a lot of years to figure out. I wasn't just angry, I was traumatized. Like I hurt, my soul hurt watching people be treated the way they were treated. And I could see it. I'm a big picture guy. I saw like, we're doing this, like, and I'm on the train. You can't be neutral on a moving train. Like, I got to be doing something. And I remember my first stance to truly go against it was I was dead broke, I had no options. I just didn't know what I was going to do. And I had a guy come to me and he was like, I'm going to pay you $100 an hour to work at our IOP. And they were doing some nefarious shit. And I knew who the owner was. And I said, you know what, man? This is when it all changed for me. I said, I'm going to eat out of the dumpster before I work for that motherfucker.
I feel like,
and it was real. I mean, and you can have all the convictions in the world until it comes. And I didn't know. And I'm aware of this for myself. Like I knew that I had these idealistic views, but I hadn't ever really been tested because I really wasn't looking at like dumpster or, you know. And so when it came down, I was really happy to know that like my convictions were strong enough. Yeah. And then everything changed. And I started building this it wasn't emotion, but I started doing the physical stuff. I got into the neuroscience. And it's one of those things where God just showed up, man. I don't even know how I paid my bills. I just did. And I got to not be suicidal, and I got to like focus on developing curriculum and building this thing. And it gave me purpose and meaning. And then doors opened, and eventually I landed here. But it's been a major issue for me. Yeah.
But I'm like, that part of it is so dope. Like when you get into it, and maybe it's just like creative mind or whatever, but like building a curriculum is such a challenge, right? Because I need everything, like in clinical terms we call it scaffolding, right? I need everything to scaffold and connect and build on, right? But also like I'm in a free flowing system. People can join at any time. So I need it to where like they can show up on Tuesday, and because they weren't here on Monday, they're not lost in what we're talking about. But then I need the people that were here Monday to feel growth in what we're talking about. And like figuring out that dance is like, it's exciting to me. Like that shit fires me up. You know, it's like, it's just dope.
Well, that's that problem solving piece, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's like a cube. You're always having to like tweak it, and people are interesting, man. It's just so fascinating. And what works on Monday might not work on Wednesday. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like sometimes it's a new face, a new person. Cause I'm pretty convinced that the number one psychiatric intervention on the planet is physical activity. I just believe that from a neuroscience standpoint. And I see that with certain people, and it's still not enough. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like one of those things where there isn't one. And that's the crazy part about, you were talking earlier, we all guard this shit. And I'm always like, I've always been like, what are you fucking protecting, bro? No one's figured this thing out. So like literally, what are you protecting? Right. You know? And I think of some of the stuff with like, not to get political at all, it's just Elon Musk is somebody who like has that open source. He doesn't give a shit. He's like, I'll give you all of it, like if it can help. And I've been like that most of my life with what we're doing. I've had people say we have to protect it. I said, look, I don't know if it's arrogance, I don't know if it's naivety, but like, good luck. Like, and I know you have your area. What I'm talking about for me is like, physical activity's been around since like the dawn of time. Yeah. The reason people don't do it is because they can't figure out how to get people to do it. It's the fact that we like use a program that has physical activity and it's unique isn't our real sauce. No. The real sauce is getting 60 people to do it. Yeah, yeah. You get what I'm saying?
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
And enjoy
it. And want to do more of it. Like that's where I'm like, you know, that you can't figure that out. You just have to, you know, you have to do it. Yeah, yeah. So,
and it's part of life. We were talking about that a few weeks ago. You know, Frank was like, "Man, you got to get in the gym. You got to do that and other." And I was like, "Bro, like," and it's so fucking arrogant. But I was like, "Dude, I'm already good at so much, right? Like, I'm an amazing friend. I'm a great dad, great husband. I'm a really good clinician. I can create programs, do all this and other." I said, "The one thing people can say Joe don't have is a six pack." Like, I'm gonna let them have that win. Like, could you imagine if I was perfect in every fucking thing?
You did say that.
Could you imagine? Like, I'm like, dude.
That's hilarious.
Imagine how the hate would compound. You know what I mean? Like, I'm already getting hate from just doing the right thing. Imagine doing the right thing and being stacked. Bruh.
It would be more.
He basically sold himself. That's a good clinician. Yeah. Turned it around and said, my lack of physical activity is a gift to you.
Yeah. But
I'm doing you a favor.
But I'm in the process, right? Because like, dude, like,
dog, it ain't about Hollywood. It's about health.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I'm saying? It's about longevity.
My shit is so much different than that.
For me, if I didn't train the way I did, I wouldn't be here with you, my dude. So I've messed with you on
100%.
That for your daughter, for your wife, for your future, for your longevity.
And that's where it hit for me. Like, dude, like I'm petty minded in so many ways, right? And part like because since we had that conversation, I'm down like 19 pounds.
I fucking love it, dude.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I've been doing all this stuff.
I love you.
But here's the motivation.
I love that.
Here's the motivation.
Just that conversation. Let's go,
we were in Hawaii back in February, right, for a wedding. And it was like crazy activity. Like we were running from this thing to that thing with the kid and all the friends, and dude, I was getting gassed. And then so one day we're sitting at the beach, and my kid is playing with this other kid, blah blah, and kids aren't always friendly, right? And so the kid wasn't being nice to her, and then she come over, she's upset, and I was just like, I'm getting gassed walking around the beach. I was like, could you imagine in like 10 years, my daughter's like 14, and she has a boyfriend that wants to get handsy, and I got to go in there and defend my daughter's honor, and this 14-year-old wipes the fucking floor with me. You like how you come back from that, you know? Yeah. And it was like, and not even just like in a beat 'em up type of way, just to hold them down or get them away, and like he overpowers me, whoops my ass and my daughter. Like, no, we can't have that. And that's like such like a petty way to look at it, but like that was the fire. It was like, okay, I'm changing eating habits. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Because like I used to do the physical activity and everything like that when I was younger. The military was a part of lifestyle, and that shifted for me because of this like saying of like birds of a feather, right? So I went to the gym one day and forgot to charge my headphones. And I don't know if you've ever paid attention to what people say in the gym, but oh my God. And you're like, am I like these people? Because I do the same thing they do day in, day out. And like, literally like, I'm sitting here on this bench and like these dudes are in the mirror like, oh, chicks are gonna dig this. Oh my God, bro. And I'm like, am I like you? You know, it's like, it turned me off to exercising, right? Then like running was my thing. I've always loved running, right? Yeah. So I did more running and everything like that until like I messed my leg up a few years ago, but like it completely turned me off to it. Because it's like, if I'm doing the same thing as you, ain't I like you, right? Which is not true, right? But that's where I was at when I was like 26 years old and I had that experience. It's like, oof, I don't want to be like that, you know? And then it became another challenge, right? It was like, how can I have the dad bod and still be accepted, still be this way? Because like, you know, people treat people that are not in shape differently, right? I mean, we do it just by the way people dress. Like, you know, I dress down a lot. And I used to, dude, I love this shit because like I would be in places with like a hoodie and jeans and Jordans, and my business partner, Zach, he's calmed down a little bit. Remember, Zach used to dress to the nines all the time, right? And they would come up and be like, oh, y'all with blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah. He's like, oh, you must be the CEO. And like, because Zach's like, teed up. And he's like, no, he's a CEO. And, you know, just they don't see you coming. You know, it's like, hey,
oh, dude, when I started, I took a big meeting with an organization, and I went in my gym shorts and Birkenstocks and one of these.
Yeah.
And it came up.
Yeah.
This is what I wear.
And I was like,
well, embrace abundance.
I said,
that's it, everywhere.
My answer to them was, they asked about it, and I said, you didn't invite me to this table based on how I dress.
Right.
You brought me to this table based on what I do. What I do is who I am. This is it. So do we continue, or do you want, and that's been a real freedom for me in the sense of,
and I think it's a confidence thing, and I agree. I think there's times to get dressed up, right? Just with what I do, I don't think it's a constant, right? I think it sets an authoritarian style if I'm like always in a suit or a button up and slacks and all that. Like, you know, it has very principled vibes when I'm doing therapy, or I see therapy with people who are like really dressed like that, but each to their own, right? But what stood out to me was like, very early on in my career, we had a meeting about professionalism. And about 3 minutes into this meeting, I was like, oh, they talking about me, you know? And so finally the dude was like, well, Joe, don't you think like if people dress a certain way, people would like respect them differently and this, that, and the other? And I was like, no. I said, but let me ask you this. I said, do you think if I wore a button up and slacks, it would make me a better therapist? And he was like, well, I don't think that has anything to do with skill set. And I was like, me neither. And I just got up and walked out, you know? Like, what do you want? Like, you want me to be a good therapist? You want me to be this polished thing? Like, blah, blah. Like, I don't think that means anything. But then also, like, I feel like because of the way I dress, clients are more comfortable. Like, I used to just kick it with the clients in treatment, you know, and like sometimes they would even forget I was there. Because, like, we're all kind of dressed the same and everything like that. But if I was in there with this button up all the time, it'd be a shining thing that, like, he's staff.
Yeah,
he's
absolutely,
staff. He's staff, right? And so, this sounds corny. It's like, want to be a man of the people, right? But, like, I want to limit the separation as much as I can because it's already an authoritarian type situation. And then if I'm dressed a certain way and I carry myself a certain way and I use a certain language, right, that just continues to like increase that deficit, right? Well, like I used to have struggles in school because all my papers I would write in layman terms, you know, and it was like, well, I don't want to use all this. I want to learn how to talk regular with clinical knowledge. Because I'm going to say all this shit and clients are going to be like, what are you talking about, right? Because they don't have that education.
Yeah.
And like I would get points off of my papers because I wouldn't use like super clinical words. It was all layman. It was like, at the time, my intent was to work with adolescents. And I was like, kids don't know what this shit means. Like I got to figure out a way to communicate in a way that people are going to understand. And it come to find out it happens to translate with addiction, right? Because they don't want all that fancy dancy shit. You know.
Well, they're looking for a way to separate anyway. So the minute that language comes up, they get uncomfortable, and then there's a wall that comes.
Oh,
up,
yeah.
right. So you become less effective.
Yeah.
At least that's been my experience. So
Yeah. That's wild.
Here's the question I want to go to Mo. So you go from Louisiana, hard upbringing, jail, military, therapy. What brings you to where you are now?
What do you mean, like where I am now?
Yeah, now, like how you created now this program, you have your own, like what led to all that?
I think it's just a natural. That's not true, because everybody's progression is different. For me, it was my natural progression, right? And then also like how I was saying earlier, like the people that have talked mess about me the most are people I've helped the most, right? I have like created wealth for like so many people in this industry, not for me, right? So that was part of it too. Like I'm tired of like making other people all this money, right? I'm tired of not being able to pay my staff because you need such a big cut, right? And I have limited control in that, even when as a position as a CEO, like I still had limited control. I wasn't the owner, right? So like I wanted to be in a position to where like I can determine all that, right? And if that system doesn't sustain because I think people should be paid too much or it should be this, that, and other, then I'll learn that lesson, right? But like this is just a progression of like what I've gone through. And I used to be a little bitter about it just because I've created really dope shit for people and they made a lot of fucking money, you know? And but the way I looked at it, like, man, it was like a paid internship, right? I was paid well for somebody that didn't know anything to figure things out.
Well, and I looked at it too, like reps and sets.
Yeah.
You know, there was a point where it became an alibi to hide my imposter syndrome. But for a while, it was reps and sets. You know, it was like, okay, I'm getting the skill set. And it fueled a fire. Like, I don't know if because I'm in a very similar boat as you, I don't know if I would have got to the point. I think I needed that. To me, the frustration I had with working for other people was fuel, was wood in the fire that helped me to get here.
Yeah.
Like that frustration moved me in a way.
I rock with that. Let me ask you this. Imposter syndrome. What do you think of that?
What do you mean when I think of it?
Do you think like that's
I think it ran my life for a long time. It's a perspective. So I have curated and adopted the what's called the Enlifted method. A friend of mine, Mark England, created, him and another guy created it. But mindset is the story we tell ourselves. And so give you real quick down and dirty. When I was younger, there was and it's interesting because I had multiple people in my family, but I was a step kid and my mom had me, and then she married somebody who brought 2 daughters in, and then they had 2 daughters. So I went to this, I got this big family, but I was the only boy, different last name. And my real dad's mom at Christmas time would give everybody money, but give me less. And then, but I had these godparents who would give me money, but not give to other people. But I didn't see that. I only saw standing around a big room of my closest family. Yeah. Everybody got 50 and I got 20.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you something, man. I grew up my whole life. If there was a choice between dating this person or that person, this job or that job, and one was $50 equivalent and one was 20, I'm taking the 20 every single time. Because belief is stronger than fact.
Yeah.
I had so many people tell me, you're so gifted, you're so talented. The amount of people, and I don't believe this, but the amount of people who have told me I've saved their life, that I am an amazing person to get people moving and, changing, and everyone around me at this point basically levels up.
Right.
Didn't fucking matter, dude.
Yeah.
I would speak at an AA meeting and people would be blown away, and I'd leave and be like,
you ain't shit.
Lonely and miserable. And so for me, it was extremely real. It's a victim's mentality. The Enlifted method got me out of it. And the reason I believe that, and I know it to be true, is because of the effects of it. Like I had a moment before I started Emotion where 2 years I was looking for the money to start this place and was getting told no. And then I almost killed myself in a Whataburger parking lot, left a toxic relationship. I was equally, it wasn't her, just her, right? Right. But we were just not a good pair for each other. And then I was at a friend's house one night. I didn't hear a voice, but I couldn't get rid of this stream of consciousness that was like 2 things. Nobody's fucking coming. Nobody. I was like, I had a realization that I kind of had been waiting, I had been waiting for the equivalent of an armored truck.
Oh yeah.
To just let a door open and we find a bag of money. Somehow that was going to happen, right? And for me, what compounded it was I had this story that I was 18 years sober. I had done what I was supposed to do. Why am I in this position? Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And so nobody's coming. It was immediately followed by, it has to be you.
Yep.
And the next day I woke up and my whole, it's like in business, it takes 20 years to become an overnight success. I had been getting molded my whole life for this moment, but it was literally almost instantaneous. That's what it felt like, where the next day I went, I'm taking responsibility for my entire life. Yeah. I'm going to burn the ship. I'm going all in on me. I'm tired of this shit. And writing stuff down. So CPT, real big on writing. I do not subscribe to talk therapy as a form of transformation.
I feel that.
It's a pressure release. It has its, so when I talk about this, I want people to understand it has its place in the therapeutic realm. It is not it's not the thing that creates change.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It is a place where people can enter into and take another step. So talk therapy will get me rapport, trust, feeling safe with a therapist. And then from there, I got to do some shit, whether it's trauma work, whether it's, so for me, the writing was critical. And, you know, I just had a scenario where I was at a dealership, bought a new vehicle, right? And like, I'm a type of dude where I don't post it online. I'm not fucking look at me. Like, have I put one picture of my truck online? I'm only talking, and it's cool. Like, I'm not knocking you if you do. I'm just saying for me, right?
I'm putting it in your face.
But I will tell you this, when I was in the dealership, I started feeling uneasy, and I was like, it felt like I was doing something wrong. Yeah. And I was like, motherfucker. No. I was like, are you kidding me right now? And so I felt like, oh, I don't belong here. I'm not supposed to be here. And the cool thing was, I was able to, like, this is new to me. And for a lot of people out there, it probably sounds like nothing. But for me, to be able to go somewhere and not have to be like them trying to talk to 8 banks to try to get me the fucking loan and be like, they're basically like, oh, we just looked at your credit profile and what you do. What do you want? It was like that, but I felt like I didn't belong. So I had to go back and fall on my affirmations and know that I needed to be there. So my subconscious wiring is turned way down, like the volume's way down. But man, I could not for the life of me see myself as worthy, effective, but I would act that way. Like I would do the thing, I just didn't see it. You know, it was like this. So for me, it destroyed my life.
No, I used to do like the opposite of that. Like I used to be like, put everything in people's face, right? And the last 4 or 5 years, like that's calmed down. Like it was always like, oh, I got these new shoes. Oh, look at this car. Oh, I changed the rims on my car. Like I'm gonna constantly throw it in people's face. And it was like, well, what are you trying to prove, right? Is what I started to come to the realization of, like, and also like that's risky, you know, because like I go back to like old school mentality. Like now people have a reason to come rob my fucking house. What are we doing? You know, like they don't need to know everything that's in my house. But yeah, so like now it's like it's not about that. It's about the family. It's about the program. It's about the team and things like that. And like I think it's a level of confidence, but also a level of like, fuck it. Like, I don't really care what you think, right? Because I've had enough experience in life, but especially in this last like 8 years, that no matter how well I do, people are going to shit on it, right? And then there's going to be people who's going to support it. So like, I'm going to tune that out and I'm going to focus on the one to support.
That's it.
And that's it. And the thing is like, dude, I've been blessed in the sense of like throughout like a chaotic life, like, dude, I have like, and some people don't ever encounter it once, and I've encountered it like 3 times. Unconditional love, right? And I think there's a line with that, like you can't mistreat people and they still love you, but like you can be who you are and that person still accepts you no matter what, right? And I got blessed with that with my grandmother. I got blessed with that with my wife, and I got 2 friends that are like that. No matter who I am, they're like, I got your back, you know. Now they'll tell me if like, yo, you tripping, right? But I don't have to worry about them turning on me. And I always had this thing in my mind was like, man, I wish my mom would just show up. Man, I wish my dad would just show up. I wish these people would just care, you know, like. And like also I'm thinking about the fact that like I was basically raised by my great grandmother. There's a lot of people between me and my great grandmother that didn't show up. And I used to only focus on that.
Yeah,
right? There's aunts, uncles, grandparents on both sides of the family and all this. And the thing is like, I realized it when I was like 27, 28. Like, because I had my grandmother and it just hit me one day. I was like, she took a lot of my pain that I was going through. And I can't remember, and I'm sure maybe I did, but I don't recall ever even saying, I love you, right? And so I started thinking like, fuck, I fucked that up. I'm never going to experience that again because I didn't appreciate it. And then I found it again. And then I found it again. And it's like, okay, now you got to appreciate this shit, you know? Because that's a blessing, dude, to like have that. You know what I mean? And I went on a tangent a little bit there, but I wanted to come back to like the imposter thing. Like, I feel like that's a natural part of life, right?
I agree. Just like with disorders, I think there's a spectrum.
Yeah.
So I think for some people, it's like how drastically does it impact your life?
Yeah.
So you got the guy like what you're talking about in the general sphere of people. It's like, oh, I second guess my ability, but it doesn't change the course of their behavior. Yeah. Where for me, it was like, I'm going this direction.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because I feel like there's a little bit of imposter / fake it till you make it, right? Because like the thing, like I put together that first curriculum. I've never done trauma work, but I had to go in there with a level of confidence to where the clients wanted to like learn this shit and do this shit. That was fake because I didn't know how this was going to go. I'd never done this, right? I just had faith in like what I'd wrote and my ability to deliver it, right? That's the only thing I knew. And so there was a little bit of fake it till I make it. There's imposter syndrome, you know, and like all this shit. And I feel like it's one thing to have that in like a super insecure way to where it infects everything. But I think we blend that with the fact of like, I'm learning new skills or I'm learning new things. And like, I'm kind of faking it till I make it till I learn, right? But then the goal is, or the trick is to not get stuck there, right? Like I could have wrote that first curriculum and be like, oh, I did it, blah, blah, you know, now I'm just gonna be a therapist, whatever, you know? But like, we gotta keep growing, we gotta keep evolving, right? And I think with growing and evolving, we're gonna constantly encounter imposter syndrome. Right. Until I get confident in that set.
The next level.
And then when I change, I'm insecure again. Right. And the thing is like, it's an ongoing battle. It's even like the idea of like being an entrepreneur, right? Owning things, like facilitating like people's livelihood. Like for them, the paycheck's automatic. For me, like it's a daily fucking grind.
Totally.
I get it. Yeah.
Different mindset.
No, that totally makes sense to me.
You know, like, so I embrace the imposter syndrome. Like that lets me know that like I'm still growing in that. And it sucks. It's uncomfortable. I don't love it, but I embrace it because like when I feel that, it's like, yeah, because you're not good at what you're doing yet. And that's a reminder that like you got more to learn. And it keeps me out of that arrogance to where it's like, first time I did it, like, oh, I'm the best at it. Because I mean, I got the potential to do that, especially going back to like K9, like that alpha mentality. Like I got to tap into that. And that's not always like beneficial, right? I got to be very real with myself too. Like this is a new skill. You don't know shit. Right? Yeah. And we need to function in a way that like communicates confidence, but also got to be real that like, I don't really know what I'm doing yet.
Yeah, so we were talking this is Mark England stuff too. And so I like to give credit where credit's due. We had this conversation and it's like this spectrum, right? And it's sort of, it's amateur, insecure, confident. At the very far right of the spectrum on like your skill set is comfortable. So it's like confidence is like hyping yourself up before a big talk. I can go out there. Comfortable is like, this is just what I do.
That's what I do.
And that's the stage I'm at with my therapy and with my talks.
Yeah.
It's not the stage I'm at with like finances and grown up shit because I just have never been. This is all new to me, right? You know, so I agree with you on the leveling up. We have to adjust. And that's the point, right? We have to adjust to the level that we just got to. So it's like, okay, now my mindset has to come into this place of now I'm somebody who has these other things going on, or I have another arm of the business, or I mean, I woke up one day and, you know, I'm not getting specific, but I woke up one day and realized like when I looked at some of the numbers, I was like, oh, damn, this is like a thing. Like this is like, this, like, wow, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's an interesting process. What I was going to say to your point earlier about the finding that unconditional love, it's so wild to me because I felt neglected, not nurtured, an outcast, didn't really have a sense of belonging anywhere. And as addicts, the addict personality and wiring is almost, I would say it's probably 100% external validation. So the bridge to self is completely shattered. So it's this performance, everything's outside of me. And when you look at people coming into treatment, they want to know what you want to hear. Not much is authentic. And so I've developed things in our curriculum in the way that we do it that combat that in a way of like how we talk to people. We don't say things like, we're so proud of you. We say, you should be proud of yourself. Right. So this idea of like, we're going to balance it with, you need a little bit of like attaboy because you're still dependent on it. But the goal is to get you in a place where, like I always tell people this, I'm like, if you are doing this, stop. I don't give a fuck who you are. If you are telling people in the first couple of days of recovery or the first month and they haven't done any trauma or inner child work, to go sit in front of a fucking mirror and say they love themselves 10 times, you're doing them a huge disservice.
They're not there.
No, well, here's what they're doing. They're actually wiring in more shame and guilt. Because if you were to ask any addict in early recovery, what happens if I put you in front of a mirror and ask you to say I love me a couple times? They'll say, oh, I feel like shit.
Yeah.
So if neurochemistry and neuroplasticity and changing the brain relies on repetition and consistency, what am I repeating? Dishonesty to self
And shame.
Yeah. Which is why I came to see you, right?
Right.
So you have to find meaning and truth behind it. So with CPT and the Enlifted method, we find translations through different statements. Like one of them that we did recently was, I'm just an addict. And so if you look at that sentence and you take out just, I'm an addict, and then you add, I'm more than my addiction. So the progression goes, I'm just an addict. That's what everybody says. I'm going to relapse. I'm just an addict. Okay, take out the just. I'm an addict. Oh, that feels different. Oh, what's that about? Okay, cool. Are you only an addict? No. Are you more than your addiction? Yes. So now I have an affirmation I can take into the mirror that starts to, but what I was doing was my subconscious was wired for, I wanted the people who couldn't give me the unconditional love. It had to come from them.
Yeah.
Like I got this nervous, right? My beacon.
What was ideal versus reality?
Yeah. It's like I got these people who are like, and my story my whole life.
I had the same thing.
And my story my whole life was this.
Brother.
Nobody loves me. Nobody. Well, no, only the people that can't give it to you
is the ones you know.
You literally in front of me, I got 5 people who are like,
I'll do anything for you.
I will do anything. And I'm like, nope. It's got to come from this motherfucker over here. And I got to get it from this person over here. And I have had that talk too. But like,
it's crazy.
It's wild.
It is wild.
Yeah. Because we had these ideals. Like, that was my shit. Like, I'm not getting this from mom, dad, whoever, right? And like, that's the way family's supposed to be. That's the way things are supposed to be. And they like closes you off to like, there was people there.
Oh, it was right there. But I wasn't at a place where I could receive it.
And how about this? Once you really break free of that and remove that from your internal, that need for that, and remove it, then you make space for the new relationships that actually give you what your instead of fighting for that one, for me. In my personal journey, especially the past 2 years of everything that I've been through, man, and it made room for all this new.
Well, and I had done this is what I this is what I had
for what I finally needed. I got what I needed. Well, finally.
What it did for me was I put myself in a position to believe. So here's the thing. There's a line in 12-step literature that says let's not say normal, the non-addicted person will change their behaviors to match their goals, or the addict will change their goals to match their behaviors, right? So, and that's not just relegated to the addiction realm. A lot of people do that. I'm going to change my actual goal because my behavior won't change, right? I believe that I can't. And so having failed at feeling love and acceptance and belonging, the belief system that came as a result of that, or that was reaffirmed, was that it's easier to be alone. It's just like those decisions that you made, right? To be violent or not, like to be isolated, to not have the responsibility is safer than to have it because I'm going to screw it up anyway. And so I found myself, and I don't have any regrets about it, but when I woke up at 46 years old, 18 years sober, it was like, I'm alone, I'm broke. I don't have these things that I see other people having. And I wasn't at that point like feeling regret about that. It was just a reality. It was like, okay, 3 years in, I don't have children, but the business that I was able to create was the validation and the healing for me. It was like I got to be the provider. I got to be all the things that I whispered to myself when I was suffering from imposter syndrome. Right? I would whisper, you could do that. But the voice wasn't strong enough. And now I know it's strong enough. And as a result, it's like I'm in a relationship that I absolutely cherish. I welcome love. Like I do. I'm like, and that was something that I never thought was going to be possible for myself. And the test of it for me, and I think it shows up like this in our lives, I invited people that were close to me to this celebration for my birthday, and I would have never done that. Like I would have been just like,
oh, it's just another day.
Yeah, I'll give a fuck. You know, and the lie is I don't care.
Right, but I do.
But I do, and I live in this really small world, and it was really amazing to. Here's the thing, and this is going to sound tragic, but it's true. That birthday song at the cabin or at the ranch. So we're at my friend's ranch, and a bunch of people came. I have never.
I saw the pictures. Looked like a dope time.
It was so good. I have, and this is not for dramatic effect. I'm being real. I can be dramatic for sure. I don't remember, this is more accurate, I do not ever remember having happy birthday sung to me and feeling comfortable.
I feel that.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
I felt amazing. When you guys sung it to me at the ranch, it was like, oh, this, like,
Yeah.
like something has clicked in my brain where it's okay for me to be like, these people love me.
Yeah.
And like,
Versus it's uncomfortable. Yeah. No, I get that.
Isn't that wild?
It's wild. The phenomenon I had from that was like, and I used to think the thing was such bullshit. Like people that would be crying and say they're crying because they're happy. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like, but then like once I like got through all my bullshit and granted, like I've been on this trajectory for a minute, right? But like I'm not even bullshitting. Like it's been like the last like 5-6 years, you know? Like I've been like healing from this stuff for like my whole life. And once I got past that and I could understand like there's been love the whole time. There's more people that show unconditional love and things like that. I started having moments where I would cry from being happy and I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know? But I used to think that was bullshit, but it's a real thing, you know? And it's like, it's such a weird experience to explain. But like when I was thinking about that when you're talking about like the happy birthday thing, because like there's just things that like until we cross some threshold, we just can't experience. And like that's one of them. Like I've experienced that. Like I want to kill it, but I never want to be the center of attention, you know? Like even doing this, like I went through a phase where I was doing like talks and like jumping on things, this, that, and other. And then I started not liking the attention, but it was really good for marketing. It was really good for the brand, but it was like, I don't know how to do this dance, you know? And then I see people that do it arguably too much.
The opposite. Like they.
And it's like, okay, well, where am I going here? And like, and some of that really, dude, is like working through insecurities. Cause I think we can do stuff like this and like not get lost in the sauce, so to speak. But like, there are some people that like, like they have a whole team, their personal brand is everything.
Yeah.
You know, and I did a talk, I think a year ago on that. And that's part of our industry. Like we have to refer to people, right? Because that's who we trust. We can't truly know how every center works. But if I know you're there, people are going to be taken care of, right? So like we refer to people.
Yeah.
But if we have a dope program, like we got to be able to transcend that, right? I got to get to where like you're referring to Lucent or Motion, whether I'm there or not, because I've created such a system that is no longer dependent on Joe Roller being present
absolutely.
or Zach Poe.
Well, and it's why I literally only wear branded gear because it's like it's not me, it's the
know. It starts that way, right? Because we're the confidence that people have in a program being well, but I need that to transcend and it's not to be dark, but like. Everything's temporary, even life, right? I might not be here tomorrow, and I put everything into building this. I don't want it to die because I can't be there, right? Like that defeats the purpose.
Absolutely,
you know.
Absolutely.
So we got to learn how to transcend that, and I think a lot of that is just understanding a balance between personal brand versus company or like culture brand.
Absolutely.
You know? And I think some of us just get really, really overly focused on like it's all about me. And don't see how that like impedes a team, right?
Well, and the people, I believe that, you know, I see it differently than I used to in the sense that I used to judge it. Now I just understand it from the ego or lack thereof. It has a job, right? And it's to protect us. So there's a lot of attention and all that stuff is hard for people to manage or receive. And they maybe do some things that hurt themselves and other people, and it's coming from a wounded place. I feel like the more that I've healed, the less impact it really has on me. I just want to know that I'm effective, and that's not bullshit. Like I would say that to sound good a couple years ago, but like I just really want to be effective and do the thing. And do podcasts. I wasn't going to do this. Like I was like, there's no way I'm not going to have people judging me and talking shit and all. And really, I'm finding out, had I followed that, I would have missed out. Like this conversation's been amazing. We've had some great moments in here. There's been some really cool, and I sit here today and I'm like, this is like my job. Like, I mean, the podcast isn't paying me, but like I get to do this for work. And I was the one who bought these microphones and put this. So it's I get to do this. It's like this amazing opportunity. So had I lived in that fear of, or not healed internally, or I'm too focused on what it means to be the one with all the attention, I saw it make people really sick, and I got scared. Like I saw big figures in 12-step recovery get real sick, you know, and I'm sure you've heard the stories and seen them, and it's not to be judgmental about that. It was a warning to me, and I went the opposite direction. I'm like, I don't want any part of it. Because it can be a real hunger for people.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I want to be something. I want to.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I feel like, I mean, we were talking about this earlier the other day, like that goes into that 7 deadly sins type thing, right? And it's like, because you got to think, man, like the fame of that, you know, the money of that goes into that greed, the gluttonous, not necessarily food, but like gluttonous and attention, right? And all that. And it drags people down, you know? I think there's a level of like confidence, like I'm good at what I do, like it's cool to be appreciated, where there's a line you cross where it's like this thing only exists because I just happen to have my presence here, right? And I'm not really doing anything, but just because I'm in the building, everybody's great, you know?
Yeah.
And like I think once you get into that realm, it's very, very dangerous, right? But I think prior to that, we need that for growth, right? And growth is different with a lot of different people. Like I don't know if you went through this in the military, but like I did a leadership training and they talked about like the 10% rule, you know? And dude, I've seen that come true in every instance, right? Because it's about group behavior, human behavior, right? So the 10% rule is that like no matter the size of your division, you're always going to have 10% of those people that are your troublemakers, right? You got to stay on top of them. You got to ride.
Oh, that's why they always said I was in the top 10%.
Yeah. Then you have another 10% that at any moment could take your fucking job, right? And we need those people too, right? And then in between that, that's people that are like, they're not the problem, but also like, their ambition, and it's not to like put them down, but like their ambition is not to where they want to be the person in charge, they want to run it. Like they're okay, just like for example in our industry, just being a therapist, right? I'm good with just being a therapist. I just want to be a really good therapist. I don't want to be a clinical director. I don't want to be an owner. I just want to be good in this lane, right? So we got them, and the mindset of like perfection is, well, if I get rid of this bottom 10, I'm fucking killing it. But as soon as you do that, there's somebody that's in that middle 80 that's going to become the squeaky wheel.
Yeah.
And then you got your 10% again, right? And so the thing is, like, I've noticed that in our industry, like talking about the ego and stuff like that, that people are threatened by talent, right? They're threatened by results. And it's like, if I'm over you and you are killing it, right? And I'm a part of that, I get that glory just as if I was the one micromanaging you and putting you down, right? Like, look how I keep Jason in check versus like, look how Jason flies, right? Like if you're an effective leader, like you're going to get the credit either way. Right. So why keep people small to feel like you're important? Right. I never understood that. And you see people that will stifle people for their own like insecurities.
It's insecurities.
Yeah.
It's all nuts. Insecurity.
It's nuts.
And then ego.
One of the things that you know, you've experienced, Frank, similar to how I have, and our relationship is, and I would say all of them today are celebrating each other. Like there isn't like, there's never been a, like when I was driving a fucking 14-year-old Subaru and it was, you know, 200,000 miles and he would come down and we'd go in his fucking Beamer. Like it wasn't ever like, oh, I have less than. It was like, I'm fucking super happy for you. And like when I got my truck, people, I was blown away at like, people are just genuinely happy. Like, dude, fucking killing it. It's a mile marker. And there's this weird dynamic between, it's this symbol of like hard work and success, and it's just a truck. Like there's this balancing act, right? And so I just have noticed that the people that I've chosen, and as I elevated my own internal psyche and my own self-concept, I have amazing human beings in my life. At the core, like the close group is like, dude, all they do is promote. Dude, killing it. Like we call each other a lot, and it used to be a thing where I would just call them and be like, yo, you have everything you need to fucking kill it today. Like we would just hype each other up, you know, and that's really an amazing experience, right? To have that level of friendship, and I did it.
See each other win and help each other win.
And we're not as tight as me and Frank are, but like I want you to win, dude. Like I'm at that stage where, you know, I had a conversation with some people in the San Antonio area a couple years ago, and it was when like, you know, the fucking summits and all the places were coming into town, and it's all fear based. And I remember being like, I'm super happy. Yeah. Like that means more people. Like I don't have a budget to do $250,000 a month in call centers. Like I don't have, do you have that? Because I don't. So you spend the money to get them into town, and when they find out who the fuck I am and what our program is, like I'll get more people, right?
Here's the thing.
And I was I was able to create this system and a relationship with people in town where their clients are getting access to our services and they're referring to us. And it was a perspective, right? I didn't have the fear. I had the abundance. So everywhere I was looking, all I saw was opportunity. And that's what we got. Had I been focused on fear, guess what? The census goes down. I've seen this, man. When my brain as the leader of this organization goes into scarcity and fear, all of it changes.
Yeah.
The phone slows down, and it's not like some weird like bias. It's legit. Like the energy is real.
Yes.
This is where he trips out on too. But like when I'll get the admissions team and the sales team together, and it's like, okay, what's the number? I don't give a fuck what the number is, but how many people we want in our center this month? Right. Let's have a goal, because when we all take our energy, that it's never not happened. Yeah, like it's never not happened.
Yeah. It's crazy how that works.
Isn't it wild?
Yeah. I used to not believe in manifesting, but like...
No, it does.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you.
10 years? Yeah, it's real.
The thing that people don't understand is, bro...
This is his jam, dude.
Yeah.
Because I live in different realms. If you don't want to see others win, you're never going to win. You'll win at life. It'll be a slow win.
Yeah.
There's enough abundance for everybody, and we're being watched by the universe, by God. And if I am not wanting you to win, I'm telling the universe I don't like winning.
Yeah.
So it's like, I want people that have wronged me to win. You could win better. I want you to have a bigger table than this. You just can't eat at the table with
I'm not going to be there.
Yes.
But have a big table.
I want you to win. Just go over there and win. And we're going to win together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because here's the thing with those, they usually had an opportunity to be at the table with you.
Yes, but dude, go do you. I don't but I want that for you. I want abundance for you. Yeah. But most people live in a scarcity mindset, or they think, the other thing, Joe, is this: nobody's the shit. Yeah. Nobody, because I lived through death.
I feel like I'm the shit.
Yeah, but you're not. And everyone's day comes, just like you said.
Yeah.
So Mr. Hotshot that thinks he's the man at wherever he's doing or whatever, you're not.
No.
It all comes for all of us, the end of this journey.
Yeah.
We all get to that final destination. And it's like, dude, be humble.
Yeah.
Work together. Live in harmony with one another. Help one another. Yeah. And when you do that, when you live in that frequency and vibration, truth within self, not talking it, but that true internal shift, man. Well, next level.
Right. And I agree with you on that. I think like in that, like if you get too far into that, life, the world, God, whatever you want to call it, will humble you.
Always, brother.
And some people learn those lessons and some don't.
Yes.
Right. And the thing is like sometimes it's sad to see, because like what's that saying? Like, I hope you never live long enough to see your heroes fall or some shit. And like I've had that. Like people I looked up to like I modeled. Yeah. You get closer to that and you're like, ooh.
Or even
not as shiny as I thought.
Yeah, or you like that. Yeah, I would have that in certain realms with 12-step recovery at times early on, where it would be like, man, that person was so magnanimous and like gregarious and like great talker, and then you spend 5 minutes with them outside the meeting and you're like, dude, you're sick.
Yeah, totally.
And it didn't make sense to me. Like, how do you have this following, but yet you're so
bad?
It's weird. It is.
And I feel like for me, what's become, and I think part of it's aging, right? Just being more physiologically mature. You know, I tend to still think of myself as a teenager, but
freaking pushing 50 over here.
Yeah, no, dude. Like, fuck.
Damn.
Damn, son.
The importance of how I see myself is so high versus how others see me.
Yes.
I want other people to reflect to me what I'm seeing in myself, in the sense that those are close to me, but it's really changed over the years. And I think it's a combination of internal healing and aging, where I just really, really need to be good with me. Like whether or not, it's like, I don't have any aspirations to be some position in a podcast host, right? Like, I don't see myself as that. What I see myself as is like, I just want to have really good conversations, and like that's the motive, right? So we're having a great, like, I think about this moment right now, and I was like, I can't think of anything else I'd rather be doing. Like, this is dope, and that's good. Like, I'm gonna go home tonight.
That's the abundance.
It used to be
abundance.
Yeah, it used to be this thing where
that's
it's like
abundance. That's what people don't.
I got to do this thing, and I have to do it a certain way in order to get this result. I just don't live that way. Like, I definitely have goals, and I'm after certain things, but really in the moment with
appreciating
my life.
it, dude. Like, dude, every day. That's why I try to explain to people. We wake up every day. We're here to experience all of this: the good, the bad, getting punched in the face in business, the food, the music, the conversation,
struggle with insurance.
The struggle with
everything.
insurance.
Yeah, but we're here,
Yeah.
man, and like it's beautiful to be able to be here to experience all of this, man.
Yeah.
You
No, that's
know?
dope.
We woke up today, bro.
Yeah.
Literally,
Yeah.
to be here, to have these dope conversations, to connect.
'Cause there's people
to
that
help.
don't.
Yeah,
There's
bro.
people that don't.
Dog, I made it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were just talking on the way down here. I'm like, did you think I was gonna die? He goes, everyone did.
Yeah. Like, come on. Like, that's just real.
You know what I mean? And I lived.
Yeah.
So every day I wake up, it's truly, we don't die. That's the other thing that I'm blessed with to know, and everybody, whatever they think, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But we don't die. That's another beautiful thing. So
Yeah.
go and experience
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Operate from love, dude. Like, I love myself so much today, dude. That's why I give so much love. Like, I smile everywhere I go. I'm like, I'm here. Like, wherever I go, like, I get off the airplane, I'm like, I'm here. People
Like,
look at me
dude,
at
shut the
airport.
fuck up. I just want to be miserable for 5 minutes.
Give me 5 minutes.
I'm like, nah, man.
My back hurts. The plane sucks. Give me 5 minutes.
I get home, I'm like, I'm here. Everyone's like, you're crazy. I'm like, I am, because I love every freaking moment,
Yeah.
dude.
This is funny.
You know what I mean? It's dope. I'm gonna go tonight. I got cousin Louis. My son, he plays football tonight. Then we go eat cousin Louis. He's got a little Italian restaurant by my house now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This is funny. Dude, me and Zach had a moment like that
Life
last
is
night. I was
great.
texting him about something, and he hit me with the silver linings shit, you know, which it was fair. It was valid. But I was like, bro, like, I don't want the silver linings right now. I want to be mad for a little bit.
Remember we used to do each
Let me
other?
be mad. Let me be mad for
He'd
a
be
few
all
minutes.
like hung up on something. I'd be like, brother, I'm like, they don't matter. Like, look at what you got. No, fuck you. I want to focus on like.
I want to be mad for a little bit. Yeah. Give me like 5 minutes and I'm gonna be good. Yeah. Which, like, that's been a dope thing for me, is like getting to a place of like not holding grudges, right? That used to be a thing for
But
me.
it kills us.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, man.
It kills us.
It's that resentment, right? It's like pissing your pants,
The
expecting you to get wet. It's
Yeah.
like,
And the energy to like maintain
No.
it. And like where that hit me at was like when I started looking into like facilitating trauma work, and I learned about this thing, because there's like two type of emotions, right? In this context, there's so many other things too, but like there's natural and there's manufactured emotions, right? Like if you say something that hurts my feelings, I'm upset, I'm sad, angry, whatever, right? That's gonna like diminish. But then I gotta remember that I'm supposed to be mad. But now the thing you said isn't enough. I got to add it to something else. Well, that was like when that coach said this. That was like when my dad said that. That was like when that, person in the military said this. Now I'm mad. I got to keep adding into it to like remanufacture this emotion, versus the idea of like, just let the shit go, right? Grudges do that shit. Because every time I think about somebody, I got to remind myself how I'm angry and I'm upset, versus like, why am I like remanufacturing this when I'm obviously already over it? Because like, it faded, right? It's done.
you know what's been super helpful for that? And I've realized it's like a thing in life, is having purpose and valuable shit.
Yes.
Like the people who got shit that they're actually doing, like,
Yes.
They ain't got
I
time for this shit.
you know what I'm
for it,
saying?
dude.
Like,
You got
start,
no
it really puts it
time.
into perspective, because I
Yes.
was that guy. Like,
No
I was super
time.
judgmental. I would have conversations about all the things that are wrong in the industry and how fucking gross people are and blah, blah, blah. And I got this place going, and now that I have something of worth and value to like, and I don't mean worth and value from a finance, I'm talking about like people's jobs and like purpose and helping people, and the text messages I get from clients that are like, you saved my life and blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, dude, if I spend any amount of time harboring it over here, it detracts from this.
Yeah.
Yes,
100%.
from the mission.
Yeah.
And it's
well,
like
I think that's our
We're
life force.
mission driven.
Purpose and passion is our life force.
Yes.
Right. I remember hearing about, you probably heard this too. Dude, there's people who do like 20 years in the military, get out, and like within a few years just die. Like the body just gives
Or
out.
they retire in the same thing.
Yeah. Or, you get to like 60, whatever, and you're like, oh, I'm actually going to retire. And they die. I saw that with my great grandmother. As soon as she stopped working and doing all this stuff, like all of a sudden, I can't remember if it was Alzheimer's or dementia, but she had one of those. And it's like, well, where did this come from? And it's not like it's a magical thing, but like I just seen these patterns, and like when we disengage from some sort of passion and purpose, the life force dwindles.
Yeah, now I got to focus my shit on something.
Yeah.
I got to reinforce the misery I'm feeling. So.
Yeah. Which is where like I look at it, like that's one of the reasons why like hindsight 2020, I'm glad I picked a situation to where like I work with my mind more than my body, right? Because if labor jobs are very important, right? But labor jobs, your body has a shelf life,
Yeah.
right? So if I work myself to death, so to speak, by 55, 60, what do I have physically to do then, right? So it shortens my lifespan. Whereas like, I feel like the idea that I work with my mind, like I can do that till I die.
Well, here's the thing.
You know?
The other part you're missing is that not only are you able to do that for the entirety of your life, it actually, unlike your body, it's making your mind stronger. So it's actually a protective factor. Your physical fitness is going to be a protective factor too. But like the more that you use your mind, the stronger it's going to be. So like the engaging in that's actually increasing longevity.
100%.
And then so you would double that by, you know, there's a lot of studies out right now about the strength of your legs and your hips and the back are really important to like longevity. And so there's a direct link, right? So
That's where all the power comes from. I mean, a lot of, you know, dudes think it's got to have like chest and everything. Like, you ain't no power from that.
So there's a saying, I think it was one of the Gracies, the original Gracie family. He's known for saying, disease enters through the mouth, old age enters through the legs.
Boom. I like that.
True, bro. You can't get up.
Yeah.
You
Like that.
You can't move. You're dead.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, and here's the thing, dude, regardless of like physical conditioning, nutrition, everything like that, like the body can only take so much, right? So like, for example, like my dad is auto body person, really good at it too, right? But like your body can only like sand on things for so long. And like, you know, we recently had like a shoulder replacement and my little brother was telling me about it and I was like, he's like, man, that's sad. He's only like, I think my dad's like, he's 17, so he's like 60. He's like, man, that's sad at 60, you know, he's having to do all this. I was like, bro, like, you consider what he did with his body for like his whole life? You know, like, there's a shelf life here, you know? I was like, the question is, though, how is he going to provide for himself if he can't work the same way, right? Like, the body's just going to give out. Like, we got to have these other avenues and other things to do. Like, if my existence and livelihood to provide for myself and my family is based on something that's
like physical strength.
perishable, I'm setting up for failure. Right, either that or I got to be I'm really good with saving. Really good with saving. You know,
It's getting harder and harder.
it is hard, man. It's hard. Yeah, so that's tight.
That was a dope conversation, dude.
Really fucking good, dude.
Hell yeah. Did y'all ever? We talked about this at that conference a year ago, State Tap. Did y'all ever start doing like the pet peeves? You said you were gonna start adding that in there.
Not yet. No. Yeah, I've just been gravitating away from. There's some things I'm going to start talking about. Like we're definitely going to have some shows we talk about like this fucking PHP money grabbing residential and this bullshit that people go through. But I really didn't want that.
You mean when they're eating up like PHP benefits?
Yeah. And so here's the thing. It's like, you know, and we could go on a tangent with that. But my whole thing with that is the individual, that level of care is designed to have freedom. So that they can have the experience, so that you're not giving them the true experience of PHP because they're not unsupervised.
Yeah.
It's residential. And most of these motherfuckers aren't even moving them rooms.
Yeah, they're like stepping their toes in the
Yeah, and it's
then
like you need to be
IOP's
able to
like,
go
you got your
home
legs in the water.
and be unsupervised to see what shows up in your life so you can take that to the center
100%.
and actually move the needle, right? So anyway, I wanted to do that, but I also got on this path of like, you know, interviewing Frank, and then it was like these motivationals. We had a guy last week that was fucking insane, and it was like Frank's story, but in a different illness. It was dope.
Yeah, Jared, man.
That's tight.
Bro, autoimmune disease, and he survived. He's going blind. Oh my god. Yeah, we got some survivors, dude.
Yeah. So I've been protecting my. I'm just real susceptible to getting that righteous.
I feel that.
It's gone away, and I've been really, really focused on the blessings and the like. You know, and even today when Frank showed up, it was like I was dealing with that bullshit, and it was another denial for PHP because they got burnt up at this same place in town, and it's like
Please stop doing that.
And not only, but dude, here's the thing: we referred the first girl. We referred her. She was our client.
Right.
She's gonna come back to us for PHP. Oh, okay, great.
Yeah, just need you to stabilize.
She came back to us with no benefits.
Yeah. Love
Please
that.
stop doing that.
Love
You
that.
know, it's like, and you know who the fuck you are.
We know who you are, and you know who you are.
And at some point,
because we will be on here eventually.
At some point, when I'm at that stage where like I'm not worried
have
about
this.
being canceled,
Right.
I'll be naming this. Like that's coming.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna be like.
I feel you on that.
It's gonna be legit. Like here's the deal.
Yeah.
You know.
Because, dude, I was racking my brain about that the last few days, like, because I remember y'all talking about that, and I was like, man, what would be a pet peeve that, like, also, like you're saying, like, wouldn't piss everybody off, you know? Because that's easy to do. But, like, one I came up with, and it's not too controversial, is like, and I don't know if this was y'all experience, right? But what I noticed in my whole career is everybody knew what I should do more than me, right? Like, when I was a therapist, I didn't know how to be a therapist. All my clients telling me how to be a therapist. All their families telling me how to be a therapist. Everybody above me says how you be a therapist, right? Okay. And then I get to be a clinical director. And I'm the only person in the building that doesn't know how to be a clinical director. You know, all my techs know how to be a clinical director. All my therapists know how to be a clinical. And everybody above me who's one of them had been a clinical director. Rest never had. Know how to be a clinical director. And it's like all the referral sources telling me how to be a clinical director. It's like, Jesus Christ. And then same thing as a CEO, same thing as an owner, right? And it's like, you would think being surrounded by so much expertise, our industry would be so far ahead where we're at leaps and bounds with being able to heal everybody and not miss a single opportunity. Because fuck, we are surrounded by experts. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Not too controversial.
I think
Not too controversial.
The only people I'm trying to listen to, bro, is where I'm trying to go.
Well, it's different when you're on the climb up, though.
Yeah.
You know, like when you're on the climb up, dude, and I think it's human nature, right? Like going back to like the fake it till you make it. Like I'm not proficient in this, yes, and I'm trying to get there.
Yeah.
So like a tech who has no idea like everything I'm balancing as a clinical director or a CEO, like throwing in shit, like, but you're still susceptible to that because like you want your people to feel good or supported or whatever. But it just blew my mind how many people are experts in things they've never done.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and I think that's not just in our industry. Like you look at, I don't watch sports, but people on the couch trying to say how coaches.
I think that's what it is.
You know, it's like
that mentality.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're not in the game.
No one's in the arena, but
You're
they
not-
act
yeah.
like they don't
understand
the
the
gladiator.
experience is a beautiful, necessary teacher, you know, and it shows an individual a lot. And I feel like I totally agree with you. There's a lot of people out there who far outside their scope of practice, right? Like don't really know, think they know.
Yeah.
And I think that's generally coming from a position or a place of real negative emotions. You know, like I'm not feeling good and so I got to tear you down or, you know, I'm trying to elevate myself by pulling you off my perception of your high horse. You might be on it.
100%.
But, you know.
Yeah, I think it does go into that mentality of like the people, like, dude, I struggle to watch sports with like a group of people because there's always people like, you should have never made that call. And it's like, well, why you ain't out there making that call? Oh, 'cause you're not the fucking coach. You know, let's remember that.
That's why we get the man in the arena quote is on the door, on the wall when you
such
first
a real
walk
thing.
in. Yeah. Because it's like, if you ain't in there and you're not the one with blood and sand,
Don't
on
say
your face,
nothing.
then you got nothing to say.
Can't say nothing.
Push.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be like trying to tell Frank something about what he, fuck, what do I don't have any experience.
Let me tell you how to recover from a heart transplant. You know, I Googled some shit. I can tell you.
It's like, can't really tell me anything anymore. Nobody.
That's true.
It's just the truth.
Yeah.
Like, there's no excuses in life.
There is.
There's no excuses.
There's fucking excuses.
There's no victims in life.
That's so absolute.
No. Well, yeah, it's the excuses you make. I make no excuses.
I think
I'm a playmaker, no excuse.
I feel you, and I get what you're saying, but like that's part of like overcoming shit, right? Like an excuse is like I didn't do this because I don't feel good enough, or I didn't do this because I haven't learned this skill, right? And I think it's what we do with those excuses. Do I use that for fuel to learn that and to overcome that, or do I use that to wallow in victimhood?
Correct.
Well, eventually the pain and suffering of the results you're getting hopefully comes to the surface enough to where you go, oh, I got to take a different look.
I got to do something.
Because the way I've been perceiving the world and the story that I've been carrying isn't working. It can't be. It's got to be different.
Yeah.
And you're looking for a different solution. And no, I get that.
And that ties back to what I was saying earlier. Like when I had that pity party, like what the result of that was like the common denominator. It was like maybe it's like that because of me, you know, like because you got to think everywhere I go, there I am.
Yeah.
I did all these duty stations and all these supervisors wasn't shit. All these coworkers wasn't shit. All these girlfriends wasn't shit. All these people wasn't shit. Like
everybody was wrong except for me.
Yeah, like what's the probability of that?
When I get on the freeway in Texas, why are there so many assholes on the road? Oh, it's probably because of me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Thanks, Joe. I've been having a lot of fun just blaming Texas for being people with shitty driving.
I don't understand Texas how they don't understand the merge lanes.
Yeah.
Like that, like
wild,
you got to like fit in. That's not just a right.
Well, I think there's a thing going on in town here, especially in San Antonio. Everybody's 3 beers deep, no insurance, on their phones.
It's wild.
They can't really focus.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God for defensive driving.
Yeah.
An EVOC. What did they call it in school? EVAC. What the fuck was that thing we did for the police course? You had to take that driving course.
I don't remember.
I can't remember. But thank God for that. Like, dude, I'm pretty aware because of that and all my bullshit having to take like
All that
probably
trauma, yeah.
7 defensive driving courses and things like that. Like, I pay attention because there's some idiots on there.
Well, dude,
Before we close up, why don't you, would you tell us or the listeners how to find you guys? Anything that you got?
Tell
you
us
guys
all
have
about
like
it.
Instagram, social?
no one knows about you,
website?
so tell them about everything.
Yeah, so I mean, it's looseandrecovery.com. I'm pretty sure our Facebook and our Instagram the same thing, Loose and Recovery.
He's like me. I'm like, I think it's this.
Yeah. I mean, marketing and all that's not my lane. Like, my lane is programming.
What do you guys do? What do you guys do?
Yeah, so we're primary mental health, man. We're outpatient. We got day programming. We got evening programming. We got sober livings, which I'm trying to like change that language because we're primary mental health. We have transitional housing, right? And it's supportive. We got staff. It's staffed and everything like that. We help monitor meds. We do all that.
Where are you located?
We're located northeast Austin, northwest Austin. Yeah, we're in Spicewood Springs area. I'm biased to it, but like, dude, we're a dope program. I got a killer team.
I agree.
I got a killer team. It's
100%.
sick, across the board.
One of the best.
We got the day program and the evening program. We got coaching, and then along with the coaching, there's like separate therapy to where like if you're done with programming or you only do coaching, but you also need therapy, like that's over there. And it's dope, man. So to like simplified, it's like we're an IOP, but we got like 28 employees, but like we're a bigger system than just like a 16 client 3 night a week IOP.
Oh yeah, get that part for sure.
And it's a dope situation. Again, I'm biased to it, but like it's super dope. Like daytime, it's very DBT based. The evening one is very CBT based because if people do the whole continuum, we want them to have a different experience. Each one has carve outs for like we have men's support group, we have women's group. We have trauma groups. We do all these different carve-outs to where like every night it's not just the same, like, let's learn about attachment. Like, because not everybody in there has trauma or is ready to work on their trauma, right? So like the ones that are, cool, on Tuesdays, we're going to put you in this trauma group, right? So you can get the most out while you're here. Or like people are like men like struggling with emotions. Like, I don't even know how to like deal with these emotions. Okay, we're going to put you in this men's group, right? Or like the women's are, sometimes like, I don't want to talk about this shit in front of dudes. Dope, we're going to have a women's group too, right? Because there's value in both. Like you need to be able to process stuff in a comfortable situation, but also like we got to be able to bounce stuff off of the devils in our head, right? Because if my thing is like, for example, my trauma, all older white males are dangerous, right? That's just not true. But I'm not going to know that till I experience an older white male that says, I'm not the one that's going to hurt you. Yeah. The one that did will, but not me, right? So we have to have like all those experiences, and I feel like we carved that out pretty good. And the other thing I would say, man, is like part of the team being big is because it's like school. Like if you go into a classroom that has 50, 200 students, the learning is like minimized. But if you go into a classroom that has like 15, 20, learning is like maximized, right? So even though like our evening census can be like 25 clients, nobody is ever in a group with more than 10 people. We always carve them up. Same thing with days. Like our max on days is like 15. We split them in half. Like there'll never be more than 10 people in one of those groups. The only exception to that is like when we do a graduation. We pull everybody together, so we'll have all 15 or all 25. But we just want it to be intimate. We want it to be direct. We want people to get the best experience they can out of like what therapy and like IOP is supposed to be. And what does it mean whenever you're in a situation where like weekly therapy isn't enough. Right, like there needs to be a value from that, and we want to facilitate that.
Awesome.
That's dope. But again, I'm biased.
Where could they find you on social media?
For me, I'm on Instagram with That's Who I Am. I think 337. On Facebook, it's Joe Roller. Also for like my private practice, I have Joe Roller Counseling, Facebook and Instagram. But yeah, just looseandrecovery.com, dude.
Looseandrecovery.com. Instagram, Loose and Recovery? Loose and Recovery on Instagram. Yep. Joe Rolla, my brother, thank you for coming on. Dope conversation. It was long. But it was dope.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We went in.
We did. I hope the listeners love it.
Thank you for connecting with us on today's episode of the Emotion Podcast, where we discuss all things mental health. Connect every week as we explore incredibly intimate stories of persistence and hope. Delve into mental health education and explore valuable resources. Available on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And visit emotionwellness.com for more information.